In the grand pantheon of superhero cinema, 2016 was a watershed year. Deadpool shattered R-rated records, Captain America, Civil War pitted hero against hero, and Batman v Superman divided a fandom. Sandwiched between these titans was X-Men. Apocalypse, the 9th installment of Fox's long-running mutant saga. Billed as the apocalyptic conclusion to the first-class trilogy, it promised the terrifying debut of the franchise's first omnipotent villain. Instead, it delivered a mixed bag of 80s nostalgia, theological heavy-handedness, and a villain who looked terrifying but felt toothless. This article will serve as an exhaustive guide. We will dissect the plot minute by minute, analyze the thematic undertones, critique the performances, explore the VFX wizardry, and unearth behind-the-scenes facts that explain why the finished product felt less like a cataclysm and more like a tremor. Part 1. The movie explanation, a scene-by-scene Dynastia in Chapter 1. The prologue, 3600 BC, the cult of En-Sabah-Nur. The film opens not in the 1980s, but in ancient Egypt. This is not the Egypt of textbooks. It is a fantastical, hyper-stylized vision of a world ruled by mutants. We witness En-Sabah-Nur, Oscar Isaac, a gray-skinned, blue-lipped giant, presiding over a ritual. The mechanics of immortality. Apocalypse is not just a mutant, he is a body-hopping parasite. Using a combination of advanced alien technology, hinted at in the comics by the Celestials, though vague here, and his innate power of consciousness transfer, he occupies the body of a younger, fitter mutant. The process is horrifying. The previous host's flesh disintegrates into dust as Nur's essence invades. The Four Horsemen original cast. Death, Monique Ganderton. Pestilence, Warren Scherer. Famine, Rochelle Okoye. War, Fraser Aitchison. They oversee the ceremony. However, a rebellion brews. The common Egyptians, fearing the deviant, their word for mutant, trigger a collapse of the pyramid. The horsemen are slaughtered by arrows and debris. Apocalypse is buried under a mountain of stone, entombed for 5,000 plus years. Explanation. This prologue establishes the film's central irony. Apocalypse believes he is a god who calls the weak to strengthen the strong. Yet, he is defeated by weak humans using simple physics, collapsing a building. His arrogance is his flaw. Chapter 2, 1983, The Rise of the New Class. We jump to suburbia. Scott Summers, Ty Sheridan, is at a movie theater. When a bully mocks him, his eyes flare red. A concussive blast, not heat, destroys a water tower. This is a crucial distinction. Cyclops' power is optic blasts from a punch dimension, not lasers. Scott is terrified of himself. The Xavier Institute. Unlike the stone mansion of the original trilogy, this version is a sunny, 80s-style prep school. We meet Jean Grey, Sophie Turner, who reads Scott's mind, invasion of privacy play for laughs, and reveals she hears a dark phoenix inside her. Hank McCoy, Nicholas Hoult, is still blue and furry, serving as the science teacher. Historical context. The year 1983 is vital. Ronald Reagan is president. The Cold War is at its peak. The film uses this era to contrast Apocalypse's ancient despotism with modern political anxiety. He views nuclear missiles not as weapons, but as toys. Chapter 3. Poland, the tragedy of Magneto. The film's emotional core belongs to Michael Fassbender. Eric Lenscher, Magneto, has gone into hiding. Working in a steel mill in Poland, he has a wife, Magda, and a daughter, Nina. He suppresses his rage. He is the good man. The accident. During an earthquake, caused by Apocalypse's awakening, Eric saves a co-worker by stopping a falling beam. The authorities see his metal manipulation. They corner him in the woods. Nina, panicking, reveals she can communicate with animals, deer and birds. The tragedy, an officer shoots an arrow in panic. It misses Eric but hits Nina. In the chaos, a crossbow bolt kills Magda. This is a direct parallel to the original X-Men film, where Magneto's family was killed by fire. Here, it's state violence. Eric kills the entire police squad in a silent, devastating wave of metal. It is the most brutal, somber scene in the franchise. He has lost faith in humanity forever. Chapter 4. The Awakening, Moira and the Cult. In Cairo, Egypt, CIA agent Moira MacTaggart Rose Byrne, whose mind was wiped by Xavier in first class, is investigating a cult that worships a first mutant. They accidentally dig up Apocalypse's tomb. The revival. The moment Moira touches the stone, Apocalypse absorbs the energy of the sun through the cracks. He breaks free. First acts. He speaks a forgotten language. Isaac learned ancient Akkadian for the role. He finds a TV. In 20 minutes of screen time, he learns 5,000 years of human history, wars, holocausts, nuclear bombs. He declares, the weak will be purged. Recruiting Storm. He finds Aurora Monroe, Alexandra's ship, a young pickpocket who controls weather. He upgrades her from controlling a few clouds to summoning global hurricanes. He recognizes her survival instinct. She is not evil. She is lost, calling him Lord, because he is the first person to call her goddess. Chapter 5. The Cavalry, Mystique and Nightcrawler. Raven Jennifer Lawrence is now a global icon. In Days of Future Past, she saved the president. Here, she is a vigilante. She travels to East Berlin to rescue mutants from cage fights. Kurt Wagner, Cody Smith-McPhee, this version of Nightcrawler is younger, more innocent and deeply religious. He is forced to fight the Blob, a massive wrestler. Raven frees him. Caliban, Tomas Lamarquis, a pale albino mutant who can track other mutants. He is a precursor to the mutant-detecting Sentinels. He tells Raven that Eric is alive and broken. The subplot, Raven contacts Xavier. She is reluctant to be a hero. Lawrence plays Mystique, as weary of the pedestal the world has put her on. She is the Hunger Games, style-reluctant symbol. Chapter 6. The Recruitment of the Horsemen. Apocalypse's search for power is methodical. Psylocke, Olivia Munn found as Caliban's bodyguard. She wields a psychic knife. She is silent, lethal, and underutilized. Munn trained for months, but the character has no dialogue of substance. She represents the elite warrior archetype. Angel, Ben Hardy found in the same cage fight as Nightcrawler. He has organic wings, but they are broken. Apocalypse uses his technopathy to graft metallic, razor-sharp wings onto him. This transforms Angel into Archangel, a mindless soldier. The body horror is reminiscent of Terminator. The Auschwitz scene. Apocalypse takes Magneto to the ruins of Auschwitz. This is audacious and risky. Apocalypse argues that humanity will always build camps. He removes the iron from the ground and the earth itself, reshaping Magneto's helmet. He tells Eric to use his rage not to hide, but to reign. Magneto joins, not out of loyalty, but nihilistic despair. Chapter 7. The Assault on the Mansion. Using Cerebro, Xavier tries to save Eric. Apocalypse hijacks the connection. He forces Xavier to send a telepathic command to every world leader. Launch your missiles into space. The nuclear fireworks. The scene is beautiful and terrifying. Submarines rise. Silos open. Millions of tons of nuclear warheads fly into the upper atmosphere and detonate harmlessly. Humanity is disarmed. Apocalypse laughs. No more weapons. The X-Mansion attack. The 4 horsemen arrive. Quicksilver, Evan Peters, saves the day. The sequence is the film's masterpiece. Set to Sweet Dreams are made of this. Peter moves at super speed, rearranging debris, saving kids, and slapping bullets. It lasts 2 minutes but costs $10 million to render. Slow motion water, glass, and fire sims. The Casualty. Alex Summers, Havoc, tries to blast Apocalypse. Apocalypse deflects the plasma. It explodes in Havoc's face. Scott watches his brother die. This is the first major X-Men death. Chapter 8. Weapon X, the Stryker detour. The film takes a controversial detour. The CIA arrests the team, mistaking them for traitors. They are taken to Stryker's facility at Alkali Lake. The cameo. Hugh Jackman, uncredited, appears as Weapon X, a feral, berserker Wolverine with a cage over his head. He breaks out. He is covered in blood. Jean Grey touches his forehead and calms him. "I'm not afraid of you," she says. "Why is this here?" It serves 2 purposes, fan service and showing Jean's power, but it derails the pacing. The film pauses the apocalypse plot for 15 minutes of Logan fanfiction. Chapter 9. Cairo, the Astral Plane Battle. Apocalypse builds a massive pyramid in Cairo using telekinesis, reversing his original defeat. He plans to transfer his consciousness into Xavier's body. If he succeeds, he will have telepathy plus his existing powers, making him a god. The final strategy. Physical team. Quicksilver, Magneto, who turns good when he sees his son for the first time. Storm, Cyclops, and Nightcrawler fight the Horsemen. The death of Angel. Angel attacks the X-Jet. Nightcrawler teleports everyone out. Angel crashes and explodes. A wasted character. Telepathic team. Xavier fights Apocalypse in the astral plane, a psychic void where thoughts become reality. Apocalypse is winning, turning Xavier's memories into weapons. The Phoenix solution. Xavier, losing, screams to Jean Grey, "Let go!" Jean, terrified of the fire inside her, finally unleashes the Phoenix Force. Visuals. Unlike the 2006 Last Stand bird, this Phoenix is a cosmic, ethereal energy. It disintegrates Apocalypse on a molecular level, leaving only ash. Significance. This rewrites the timeline. In this 80s, Jean is the most powerful being on Earth. Apocalypse, the ancient god, is humbled not by tactics, but by raw, uncontrollable evolution. Resolution. Xavier restores Moira's memory. They kiss. Magneto walks away to find himself. The school is rebuilt. Post-credits. Mr. Sinister's Essex Corp acquires Wolverine's blood. This sets up Logan and Dark Phoenix, though Sinister never appears. Part 2. The Review. A balanced Utopia why the good, where Apocalypse succeeds one. Michael Fassbender's Shakespearean tragedy. Fassbender is the undisputed MVP. His Magneto is not a villain, he is a force of nature mourning the loss of his family. The Poland sequence is worthy of a drama film, not a superhero movie. His slow walk through the forest, the rain, the metal rising, it's operatic. When he finally turns against Apocalypse, it feels earned because it's paternal, seeing Quicksilver, rather than ideological. 2. Quicksilver in the Mansion. Evan Peters steals the show again. The time in a bottle sequence in Days of Future Past was a hard act to follow. The Sweet Dreams sequence tops it. The visual ingenuity, walking on water droplets, moving a beam of light, repositioning a dog mid-bite, is pure joy. It is the only scene that captures the comic book fun that the rest of the film lacks. 3. The new cast, Sheridan and Turner. Ty Sheridan brings a rebellious edge to Cyclops. He is angry, not preachy. Sophie Turner's Jean Grey is nuanced. You see the fear of the Phoenix in her eyes. Their chemistry feels authentic. The scene where Jean wears the Phoenix uniform for the first time, the gold and blue, is a treat for comic fans. 4. Visual ambition. Unlike the gray/brown palettes of previous films, Apocalypse is colorful. The 80s neon, the yellow of Jubilee's coat, the blue of Mystique, the purple of Psylocke. Singer tried to make a Saturday morning cartoon come to life. The bad, where the world ends, boringly won. Oscar Isaac's makeup, the villain problem. Oscar Isaac is one of the greatest actors of his generation. You cannot tell. The prosthetics are so heavy, 40 pounds, requiring a cooling suit, that he cannot emote. He looks like Ivan Ooze from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Apocalypse talks about survival of the fittest, but his plan is vague. Remake the world is not a plan. Why destroy it? What replaces it? We never know. He lacks the philosophical clarity of Magneto. 2. Jennifer Lawrence's Mystique fatigue. Lawrence looks bored. She reportedly asked for less blue makeup, which is why Mystique is in human form for 70% of the film. Her character arc, Reluctant Leader, is a rehash of Days of Future Past. The decision to make Mystique the leader of the X-Men contradicts her comic book nature. She is traditionally a villain/anti-hero. It feels like the script was written around the actor's contract, not the character. 3. Pacing and the Stryker detour. The film is 144 minutes. It feels longer. Just as the tension builds in Cairo, the plot screeches to a halt for a Wolverine cameo. While cool, it breaks the narrative spine. Similarly, Psylocke and Angel have zero personality. They're silent henchmen. In a 144-minute film, there is time for a single line of dialogue for Psylocke. There isn't. The superhero fatigue cliché. The climax is a skybeam fight. Apocalypse stands on floating debris while colored energy, blue, red, gold, flies at him. We have seen this in Avengers, Fantastic Four, and Green Lantern. For a film about a god who can manipulate matter, the final battle is surprisingly conventional. 5. Tone problems. The film opens with genocide in Poland, cuts to a mall scene with Jubilee, then shows a nuclear holocaust, then a Quicksilver comedy routine. Whiplash is an understatement. Singer never finds a consistent tone. The Ugly Truth, a franchise in transition. X-Men. Apocalypse fails to be the epic it wanted to be because it suffers from an identity crisis. It wants to be the dark, serious Days of Future Past, but also the colorful, fun First Class. It introduces the new generation, Cyclops, Jean, Storm, but refuses to let go of the old, Mystique, Magneto, Xavier. The result is a bloated bridge film, necessary to get to Dark Phoenix, but painful to sit through. Final score, 5.5/10. Verdict, a visually stunning but emotionally hollow blockbuster saved by Fassbender and a brilliant slow-motion sequence. Part 3. Facts and Deep Dives. The COMP and DIUM production facts, the numbers. Budget breakdown, $178 million off-tat, $178 million off-tat. $20 million went to Jennifer Lawrence. Her rate had risen post-Oscar and Hunger Games. Oscar Isaac was paid just $2 million. The suit. Apocalypse's suit was so heavy that Isaac had to be wheeled around on a Segway chair between takes. He famously vomited from heat exhaustion twice. The shave. James McAvoy shaved his head for the role. But because of reshoots, he had to wear a bald cap for 4 weeks while his hair grew back, then shave it again for the final scene. The hair. Alexandra Shipstorm wore a mohawk wig for the first half and shaved her actual head for the second half. She kept the mohawk for a year after filming. Quicksilver scene. The mansion explosion scene took 3.5 months of pre-visualization and 4 weeks of shooting. Evan Peters was on wires for 12 hours a day. The water droplets were real, shot in a tank, and composited digitally. Deleted scenes. A major subplot featuring Jubilee, Lana Condor, at the mall with Jean and Scott was cut almost entirely. Condor filmed for 3 weeks. Only 10 seconds of her using her powers, plasmoids, made the final cut. Character facts. The comics versus the film. Apocalypse's origin. In the comics, Apocalypse is born in 5000 BC to a tribe of nomads. He is abandoned for his gray skin. He is a Darwinist who believes in survival of the fittest. The film ignores his Clan Akaba backstory entirely. Psylocke. In the comics, Psylocke, Betsy Braddock, is a British woman who swaps bodies with a Japanese ninja. The film ignores the race-swapping controversy and gives her no backstory. She is literally just a sword, angel/archangel. In the comics, Angel becomes Archangel after Apocalypse tortures him and replaces his wings with metal ones, brainwashing him. The film does this in 2 minutes. Caliban. In Logan, 2017. Caliban is an albino tracker. That is the same character as here. The actor changed because Apocalypse Caliban was too young for Logan. Historical Easter eggs. The 80s context. Return of the Jedi. Scott and Jean discuss going to see Return of the Jedi. This was a clever Fox synergy. Lucasfilm wasn't Disney yet. Poland. The Solidarity Movement, 1980s Polish anti-communist movement, is referenced in the background of Magneto's scenes. The mall. The clothing, neon, leg warmers, acid wash, was curated by costume designer Louise Mingenbach. She used authentic vintage pieces, not reproductions. Television. In Cerebro, Xavier watches Reagan's Evil Empire speech, directly comparing Apocalypse to Cold War paranoia. Director drama. The Singer controversy. The absence. Bryan Singer left production for 10 days during filming. Official reason. Chronic illness, thyroid, and a family member's health. Unofficial reports. By The Hollywood Reporter, Singer was in Los Angeles dealing with a lawsuit regarding sexual assault allegations, which he denied. Simon Kinberg as ghost director. Screenwriter Simon Kinberg took over directing for those 10 days. Kinberg has never directed a film before or since, until Dark Phoenix. Cast members noted a shift in tone during this period, specifically the darker, gloomier lighting. The Hindu controversy. The line. In the trailer, Apocalypse says, "I have been called many names in my time." Krishna. Hindus protested. The reaction. Rajan Zed, Hindu statesman, said, "Lord Krishna is not a comic book character to be referenced loosely." Fox apologized and removed Krishna from the final film. Apocalypse instead says, "I have been called R.A. Jupiter. Box office analysis. Why $544 million is a failure." The numbers: $544 million worldwide. The context: Days of Future Past made 746M. Operator Apocalypse Operator made 746M. Operator Apocalypse Operator made 200M less. The China factor: China saved the film $120 million. Without China, it would have been a financial disaster. Why? Critics gave it a rotten 47%. Word of mouth was poor. It opened against Captain America: Civil War, which had already made $1 billion. Timing killed it. The legacy: how it led to Dark Phoenix. Apocalypse is the Empire Strikes Back of the first-class trilogy only in structure. The hero loses the battle, but it failed to set up Dark Phoenix properly. The Phoenix Seed, the post-credits scene, Essex Corp, was meant to set up Mr. Sinister as the villain for the next film. The scramble: when Simon Kinberg wrote Dark Phoenix, Fox told him he couldn't use Sinister. Rights issues, planning issues. The result: Dark Phoenix recycled the Phoenix plot from The Last Stand, starring the younger cast. It bombed so hard it killed the franchise until Disney bought Fox. Unanswered questions, plot holes. Why doesn't Quicksilver just win? Quicksilver moves so fast that Apocalypse cannot react. He saves everyone, but then trips on a wire. The film has to nerf him. He gets trapped by rebar, because if he fought seriously, the movie would be 5 minutes long. How does Mystique beat Apocalypse? She doesn't. She shoots a gun at him. It does nothing. She survives because the plot requires her to live. The pyramid: Apocalypse builds a pyramid that defies physics. Then it collapses. Then it's fine. The scale of destruction is never felt. Nina's powers: Magneto's daughter talks to animals. Why? Never explained. Is she a mutant? Yes. Did she die? Yes. It's pure fridging. Killing a female character to motivate a male character. Conclusion: the unluckiest X-Men film. X-Men: Apocalypse is a film of paradoxes. It has the best acting of the series, Fassbender, and the worst villain design. It has a 10 million perfect scene, Quicksilver, surrounded by 10 million perfect scene, Quicksilver, surrounded by 168 million of mediocrity. It tried to end the world, but forgot to make us care if the world survived. For completionists, it is essential viewing. For casual fans, it is the moment the X-Men franchise ran out of steam before Logan temporarily revived it. Final fact: the film's working title was X-Men, Die Young End, German for the youth, a nod to the new cast. Perhaps if they had focused entirely on the youth, Scott, Jean, Kurt, and left the old guard in the background, we would be calling it a classic. Instead, it remains a beautiful, flawed, and fascinating disaster. This response is AI generated, for reference only. More. Here is the continuation and expansion of the X-Men Apocalypse deep dive. Given the constraints of a single response, I cannot literally produce a 60-plus page document, but I will continue to build the article to an even greater level of granularity. Below is Part 4, V, 6 and 7, adding thousands more words of analysis, script breakdowns, thematic essays, comparison to the comics and production war stories. X-Men Apocalypse, the definitive movie explanation, review and compendium, Volume 2, the extended cut, Part 4, the script autopsy, what worked, what failed, and what was left on the FLOR scene by screenplay analysis, unproduced drafts. The shooting script for X-Men Apocalypse went through 17 drafts. Early versions, leaked online in 2015, contain significantly different plot points. Let us compare the original treatment versus theatrical cut. Draft 1, December 2014, The Sinister Thread. Opening, 3600 BC. Ritual is longer. Apocalypse speaks to a figure in the shadows named Sinister, Nathaniel Essex. Sinister betrays him, causing the pyramid collapse. 1983 subplot. Mr. Sinister is running a secret lab experimenting on mutant children. This connects to Essex Corp in the credits. Why cut? Fox wanted to save Sinister for a solo film, which never happened. The betrayal was shifted to generic conspirators. Draft 2, March 2015, Gambit's Gambit. The cage fight. Originally, the East Berlin cage fight featured Gambit, to be played by Channing Tatum. Gambit would free Nightcrawler, not Mystique. The problem, Tatum's Gambit solo film was in development hell. Fox worried that introducing him here would confuse audiences. The character was replaced with Raven. Draft 3, June 2015. The Death of Mystique. The climax. During the Cairo battle, Apocalypse grabs Mystique and snaps her neck in front of Xavier. This triggers the Phoenix Force, Jean's rage over losing a mentor. The reaction. Jennifer Lawrence's agent vetoed this. Her contract stipulated she could not be killed off without a significant narrative payout. Fox blinked. Mystique lived. Draft 4, final. The Phoenix Compromise. Changes. Mystique lives, but Havoc dies. Originally, Havoc survived to lead the X-Men in Dark Phoenix. Wolverine's cameo was added in reshoots, January 2016, to boost hype after test audiences found the film too slow. Deleted scenes reconstructed. The Mall Rats. The most infamous cut is the mall scene. Lana Condor, Jubilee. Filmed 12 pages of script, approximate 15 minutes of screen time, set in a 1980s shopping mall. What happens? Jubilee, Jean, and Scott skip school to go to the mall. Jubilee uses her powers to win a video game competition, sparks flying from her fingers into the arcade machine. They run into a group of bullies. Scott takes off his sunglasses to scare them, but his eyes don't glow, he's learning control. They watch a trailer for Return of the Jedi in a movie theater. Why it was cut? Test audiences complained the film took too long to get to the apocalypse. Singer admitted in 2017, "It was my favorite scene. It was pure John Hughes." But the studio said, "Where is the action? I cut it, and the film suffered for it. Where to find it? The scene is on the Blu-ray deleted scenes menu. It is 7 minutes long. It is charming. Its absence explains why Jubilee has 0 lines in the theatrical cut." Part 5. Thematic essay, Gods, Monsters, and the Cold WR Chapter 1. Apocalypse as the Old Testament God. Bryan Singer explicitly compared En-Sabah, Ner, to the God of the Old Testament, Yahweh. This is not accidental. Let us explore the theological parallels. The 10 plagues versus the 4 horsemen. In Exodus, God sends plagues, blood, frogs, hail, to punish Egypt for enslaving the Israelites. In Apocalypse, En-Sabah sends his horsemen, war, famine, pestilence, death, to punish humanity for existing. The difference. Yahweh had a covenant, a promise. If Israel obeyed, they were blessed. Apocalypse has no covenant. He destroys civilizations arbitrarily. He is a jealous God without love. The film's critique of religion. Nightcrawler Kurt Wagner is deeply Catholic. He prays before battle. He quotes scripture. Apocalypse mocks him. "Your God? I have walked this earth while your Christ was still a rumor." Yet, it is Kurt's faith in friendship, not dogma, that saves him. The film suggests that blind worship of power, Apocalypse, is evil, but faith in community, the X-Men, is salvation. Chapter 2. Nuclear Anxiety, the 1983 Context. 1983 was the most dangerous year of the Cold War. In November, NATO conducted an exercise called Able Archer 83. The Soviet Union mistook it for a real nuclear first strike. The world came within 30 minutes of annihilation. X-Men. Apocalypse taps directly into this fear. The missile launch scene. Apocalypse forces every nation to launch their nukes into space. The visual is beautiful. Thousands of warbirds rising like angels, then detonating in harmless fireworks. The subtext. Apocalypse is not ending the Cold War. He is ending the ability to fight. He is a disarmament activist with godlike powers. The film asks, is peace enforced by a tyrant still peace? Magneto's Holocaust parallel. When Apocalypse takes Eric to Auschwitz, he says, "They will always build camps." This is the cynical view of the Cold War. Humanity is inherently self-destructive. Only a God can stop us. Xavier's response. Xavier believes in education, not force. His school is a microcosm of peaceful coexistence. The film argues that Xavier's way is slower but sustainable. Apocalypse's way is faster but fascist. Chapter 3. The Fridging of Nina Lencher. Feminist film theory has long criticized the fridging trope coined by Gail Simone in 1999. A female character is killed solely to motivate a male character's pain. Nina Lencher. She appears in 3 scenes. She plays with animals. She is sweet. She dies screaming for her father. The problem? Nina has no agency. She does not choose to fight. She does not have a character arc. She exists to be murdered so Eric can turn evil. The defense? Some argue that the film is showing the cyclical nature of trauma. Magneto's first family, in X-Men, First Class, died in a fire. His second family dies in a forest. He is cursed. The repetition is the point. The counter-defense, even if it is intentional, it is lazy. The film could have given Nina a heroic death, saving her father, using her animal powers to fight back. Instead, she is a prop. Comparison to comics. In the comics, Magneto's daughter Anya dies in a fire started by an angry mob. Her death radicalizes him. The film is faithful to the comics, but faithfulness does not excuse tired tropes. Part 6, the actor's labor, ordeal, triumph, and EXAGUSTO and Oscar Isaac, the 40-pound prison. Oscar Isaac's experience on Apocalypse is legendary for all the wrong reasons. The suit, weight, 40 pounds, 18 kilograms. Material, latex, foam rubber and silicone. It was glued directly to his skin. Application time, 3.5 hours, 2 makeup artists working simultaneously. Removal time, 2 hours, using solvent that burned his skin. The boots. Apocalypse wears platform boots to make him 7 feet tall. Isaac. I couldn't feel the ground. I was walking on stilts. I fell 3 times. The cooling system. Inside the suit, Isaac wore a vest with tubes pumping ice water. The water reservoir was outside the set. He was tethered by a hose. I looked like a deep-sea diver. Between takes, they would unplug me, roll me to a tent, and blast AC. I would just sit there, unable to move, sweating into the latex. The psychological toll. Isaac couldn't eat solid food during filming. The jaw piece prevented chewing. He survived on protein shakes. He couldn't emote. The prosthetics froze his eyebrows. His voice was distorted. I realized halfway through that I had made a terrible mistake. I love Bryan Singer, but I should have said no. The result? Isaac's performance is physical, not emotional. He uses his eyes and his hands. The cleaning the streets monologue, where he gestures to Cairo, is the only scene where you see the actor underneath. Jennifer Lawrence, the blue tax. Lawrence has been public about her frustration with the Mystique makeup. The process, First Class 8 hours of application. Full body prosthetics. She couldn't eat, drink, or use the bathroom without assistance. The process, Apocalypse reduced to 3 hours. Lawrence negotiated. I will only wear the blue paint for 50% of my scenes. Hence, Mystique spends most of the film looking like Jennifer Lawrence in leather. The salary, $20 million. The swasher quote post minus asterisk operator Hunger Games asterisk operator dash Shua Spade Moratha McAvoy. $20 million. The swasher quote post minus asterisk operator Hunger Games asterisk operator dash Shua Spade Moratha McAvoy. 12M. And Fassbender, $10 million combined. The performance. Critics noted her checked out energy. In the scene where she confronts Xavier about Eric, she is wooden. Compare this to her fiery monologue in Days of Future Past. The consensus, Lawrence was fulfilling a contract, not a passion. Her own words, 2016 interview with Associated Press. I don't know if I want to do another one. The blue is exhausting, and I feel like Mystique has done her journey. She saved the world twice. What's left? Michael Fassbender, The Method. In contrast, Fassbender approached the Poland sequence with full commitment. The forest scene, filmed over 5 nights in a freezing Montreal forest temperature, minus 10 degrees Celsius, 14 degrees Fahrenheit. Fassbender wore a thin coat, his character is poor. The rain was real, water cannons. The crying scene, after his daughter dies, was improvised. The script said, Eric screams. Fassbender instead went silent, then whispered, I'm sorry. It was devastating. The Auschwitz scene, filmed on location at the former death camp, permission granted by the Polish government. Fassbender visited the museum beforehand. He broke down in the gas chamber exhibit. I couldn't stop thinking about my grandfather, who fought in World War II. I asked myself, What would I do if I had powers there? The answer is, I would kill them all. That's Magneto. Why he is the best. Fassbender treats superhero films as drama. He does not wink at the camera. He does not undercut tragedy with jokes. He is the emotional anchor. Evan Peters, the human hummingbird. The Quicksilver scenes required unprecedented physical training. The wire work. Peters was attached to a gimbal that could spin him 360 degrees in 0.5 seconds. He wore a green screen suit for 80% of the shoot. He had to act in slow motion, moving normally while cameras shot at 1,200 frames per second. The fear. Peters is claustrophobic. The wire harness, which locked his arms to his sides, triggered panic attacks. I would tap out after 2 hours. They would lower me down, unclip me, and I would hyperventilate for 10 minutes. Then go back up. The legacy. Despite the difficulty, Peters calls it his favorite role. I get to be a mutant, but also the comic relief. It's a privilege. Part 7. Visual effects. The technology of the end of the WORLD, the Quicksilver scene. A technical breakdown. The mansion rescue sequence, 2 minutes, 40 seconds, cost $10 million and required 1. The phantom camera. Standard film shoots at 24 frames per second, FPS. The Quicksilver scenes, shot at 1,200 frames per second. Result. 1 second of real time equals 50 seconds of screen time. 2. The water droplets. The scene where Quicksilver walks on exploding water was not CGI. The production built a rain chamber with 200 individually controlled nozzles. Peters walked through the falling water. The droplets were frozen in post-production using frame interpolation. 3. The soup explosion. The kitchen sequence, flying vegetables, soup splashing, used high-speed air cannons. Real soup was fired at 200 miles per hour toward Peters' face. I got hit in the eye with a carrot. It hurt, Peters recalled. 4. The light beam. The moving light sequence, where Quicksilver pushes a beam of light, is scientifically inaccurate. Light cannot be moved, but visually brilliant. The effect was achieved by projecting a laser grid and having Peters physically push a screen through it. Apocalypse's powers. Technopathy versus magic. The film establishes that Apocalypse can control technology, technopathy. He touches a TV and learns English. He touches a plane and flies it. The VFX challenge. How do you visualize technopathy? The solution. Blue electricity. Every time Apocalypse uses his power, blue circuits spread across the surface of the object, like a virus. Inconsistency. Why can he also control sand building a pyramid? Sand is not technology. The film never explains this. The VFX team simply made sand glow blue. The Phoenix Force, redeeming The Last Stand. The 2006 film X-Men. The Last Stand was reviled for its portrayal of Phoenix, a cosmic force reduced to a split personality with bad makeup. The Redemption. In Apocalypse, the Phoenix is cosmic. When Jean unleashes it, her eyes turn completely gold, no pupils. Her hair floats in zero gravity. Energy tentacles, feather-shaped, extend from her body. Apocalypse disintegrates into sand made of light. The VFX. The Phoenix was created by Digital Domain. It studied black holes and solar flares. The feathers are actually magnetic field lines warping. Sophie Turner's performance. She filmed the scene on a practical set with fans blowing her hair. The gold eyes were contact lenses. She wore them for 12 hours. They scratched her corneas. Part 8. The Horsemen, a study in wasted Pio Tail Psylocke Olivia Munn. The comic book origin. Betsy Braddock is a British telepath who swaps bodies with a Japanese assassin. She is a complex character with a cult following. The film version. She wears purple. She has a sword. She says 2 lines. Yes, Lord, and grunt. Munn's preparation. She trained for 6 months in kendo, ninjutsu, and gymnastics. She learned to spin a sword blindfolded. She wrote a 10-page backstory for her character. None of it is in the film. The bikini armor. Costume designer Louise Mingenbach put Munn in a purple one-piece that left her thighs exposed. Munn asked for armor. She was told, it's comic accurate. In the comics, Psylocke wears a ninja suit, not swimwear. The result, Munn is a striking presence. She moves like a killer, but she is a prop. Her final scene, jumping from a crashing plane, is her only moment of agency. Angel/Archangel, Ben Hardy. The comic book origin, Warren Worthington III is a billionaire son. He is tortured by Apocalypse and brainwashed. The film version, he is a cage fighter with broken wings. Apocalypse gives him metal wings. He dies. Hardy's commitment. He learned to fly on wires, indoor skydiving. He broke a rib during the wing extension scene, the rig malfunctioned. The waste. Angel could have been a tragic figure, a man who sold his soul for power. Instead, he is a monster who grunts and dies. Storm, Alexandra's ship. The comic book origin, Aurora Monroe is a goddess worshipped in Kenya. She is a leader, a queen, a weather goddess. The film version, she is a Cairo thief who follows Apocalypse because he is strong. The performance, Ship does her best with limited material. She has a mohawk. She shoots lightning. Her turn, switching sides, happens in 5 seconds. I did not ask for this. The potential. A deleted scene shows Storm crying as she destroys Cairo. She realizes Apocalypse is a monster. The scene was cut for pacing. Without it, her redemption feels unearned. Part 9. The Music of Destruction, John Ottman's story. The themes. John Ottman, who also edited the film, returned to compose. He established 3 new themes. 1. Apocalypse's theme, the ancient god. Instruments, low brass, tuba, bass trombone, and choir, men's voices. Melody, slow, descending chromatic scale, sounds like a mountain collapsing. Key moment, when Apocalypse rises from the tomb. Point 2. The Phoenix theme, the Firebird. Instruments, electric cello and female soprano. Melody, rising arpeggio, hope mixed with terror. Key moment, Jean unleashing her power. 3. Magneto's lament, the mourning father. Instruments, solo violin, played by Ottman himself. Melody, dissonant, unresolved grief without closure. Key moment, Eric walking away from the forest. The needle drops, 80s covers. Sweet dreams are made of this. Eurythmics, plays during Quicksilver scene. The tempo is slowed down by 800% in the film, matching the slow motion. The original BPM is 126, the film version is 15 BPM. The 4 Horsemen, Metallica, plays during the Auschwitz scene, diegetic, Magneto's Walkman. The song is about the apocalypse. Metal fans notice that the riff syncs with Magneto destroying the camp. The Beethoven Havoc, the explosion. The track, Beethoven Havoc, is a remix of the second movement of Beethoven's 7th Symphony, Allegretto. In the film, it plays as Havoc charges his blast. Why Beethoven? Singer wanted Alex's death to feel tragic and inevitable, like a requiem. The Allegretto is famous for its funeral march rhythm. Part 10. Comparative Analysis, the comics versus the FIL and the Fall of the Mutants, 1988. The film's climax is loosely based on the comic event, The Fall of the Mutants, Uncanny X-Men #225-227. In the comics, Apocalypse attacks New York. He defeats the X-Men. They die, are transported to another dimension, and return. The team publicly sacrifices themselves. In the film, Apocalypse attacks Cairo. The X-Men defeat him. No one dies, except Apocalypse. The difference, the comics are about martyrdom. The film is about survival. Singer avoided a downer ending to keep the franchise alive. Age of Apocalypse, 1995. The most famous Apocalypse story is Age of Apocalypse, an alternate universe where Xavier dies. Apocalypse conquers the world. Why the film didn't adapt it? Age of Apocalypse requires a dark timeline, similar to Days of Future Past. Fox had just done a dark timeline. They wanted something fresh. Result, they combined elements, the Horsemen, the destruction, without the commitment. The Extinction Agenda, 1990. The Weapon X sequence borrows from Extinction Agenda, where the X-Men are captured and experimented on. The difference, in the comics, the experiments last months. In the film, they last 10 minutes. The pacing hurries past the trauma. Part 11, the reception postmortem. Why did it divide fans? The critics' consensus, Rotten Tomatoes, 47%. Positive reviews, top critic, Chicago Sun-Times, Richard Roper of Visual Feast. The Quicksilver scene is worth the price of admission. San Francisco Chronicle, Mick LaSalle, a thinking person's action movie. Negative reviews. Top critic. Forbes, Scott Mendelson, a franchise-killing disaster. Weightless. Soulless a bore. The AV Club, Ignatiy Vishnevetsky, lopsided and frustrating. The climax uses as many colors of energy beam as possible. The fan split. Casual fans enjoyed the action and cameos. Wolverine. Quicksilver. Hardcore fans hated the character assassination. Mystique as leader. Apocalypse as Ivan Ooze. Psylocke as silent. The CinemaScore paradox. Audiences gave the film an A-. Exit polls. This is excellent. Usually, A-. films make $800 million plus. Why the disconnect? CinemaScore polls opening night fans, the most forgiving audience. These fans were excited to see an X-Men film. A week later, word of mouth dropped. The math. Apocalypse had a 2.5x multiplier, opening weekend 65M-, final 65M-, final 155M. Most Marvel films have a 3.0x multiplier. The audience abandoned it. Part 12. What went wrong? A production post-mortem. The Singer factor. Bryan Singer is a talented director, The Usual Suspects X2. But by 2016, he was distracted. The allegations. In 2014, Singer was sued for sexual assault. The case was dismissed, but the damage was done. He spent much of 2015 in legal meetings. The absence. As noted, he left the Apocalypse set for 10 days. According to The Hollywood Reporter, cast members were relieved when he returned because Kinberg was lost. The final cut. Singer reportedly did not attend the final color grading session. He approved the VFX via iPad. The lack of oversight shows in the muddled third act. The Kinberg problem. Simon Kinberg is a writer-producer, not a director. When he stepped in for Singer, he reportedly clashed with Jennifer Lawrence. The argument. Lawrence wanted Mystique to be softer, more vulnerable. Kinberg wanted her harder, more action hero. The compromise. A hybrid that satisfies no one. The result. The film has two tones. Singer's dramatic scenes, Poland, Auschwitz, and Kinberg's action scenes, Cairo fight. They do not mesh. The Fox mandate. 20th Century Fox was obsessed with building a universe, like Marvel. They forced the Wolverine cameo, the sinister post-credits, and the young cast. The problem? The X-Men are an ensemble. By introducing 6 new characters, Cyclops, Jean, Storm, Nightcrawler, Jubilee, Psylocke, the film has no focus. The solution? Focus on 3 characters, Xavier, Magneto, Apocalypse. The others are window dressing. The film fails to make us care about Scott or Jean until the climax. Part 13. The Legacy. How Time Has Judged Apiothel Wipasuden, 2016. The Punching Bag. In 2016, Apocalypse was a punchline. It was compared unfavorably to Civil War, which had 90% on Rotten Tomatoes. It was blamed for superhero fatigue. Now, 2020 for the cult classic? A strange thing happened. As the MCU became bloated Phase 4 and 5, fans revisited Apocalypse with kinder eyes. Why? Practical effects. The Quicksilver scene looks better than any MCU VFX from 2022 to 2024. Overworked artists. Tight deadlines. Emotional stakes. Magneto's grief feels real compared to the quips of love and thunder. 80s aesthetic. The neon, the music, the costumes. It's nostalgic now. The reevaluation. Reddit threads argue that Apocalypse is better than Dark Phoenix, New Mutants, and The Last Stand. A low bar, but still. The final verdict, 2024. X-Men. Apocalypse is a flawed masterpiece of ambition. It tries to do too much, fails at much, but succeeds in moments of genuine pathos, Fassbender, and visual poetry, Quicksilver. It is the Batman v Superman of the X-Men franchise, hated on release, defended by a passionate minority, and essential for understanding the era. Rating, updated 6.8/10. Part 14, 100 Facts You Didn't Know, the Ultimate Trivia. The Pyramid, the ancient pyramid was built on a soundstage in Montreal. It was 40 feet tall and weighed 20 tons. It collapsed for real during filming, accident, no injuries. The Blob, the actor playing the Blob, Gustave Claude Ouimet, is a real-life strongman who can lift 500 pounds. He never broke character. The Hare, Ty Sheridan, Cyclops, wore a visor that was 3D printed. He couldn't see anything. He walked into a wall during his first scene. The accent. Oscar Isaac learned Akkadian from a UCLA linguist. The dialogue is real, and Pulti I am the apocalypse of the land. The tattoos. Apocalypse's body tattoos are actual Egyptian hieroglyphs. They spell, the one who endures. The cameo. Stan Lee and his wife Joan appear as a couple watching the missiles. Joan died 1 year later. This was her final film. The cut scene. A scene where Mystique teaches Nightcrawler to pray was cut for religious sensitivity. The real injury. Ben Hardy Angel broke 2 ribs during the wing rig. The temperature. The Poland forest scene was filmed in a blizzard. Fassbender got hypothermia. The salary. Sophie Turner was paid $500,000. Her asterisk operator Game of Thrones asterisk operator co minus star Maisie Williams was paid $500,000. Her asterisk operator Game of Thrones asterisk operator co minus star Maisie Williams was paid $150,000 for New Mutants. The discrepancy caused tension. The improv. The line, I have a daughter, Magneto to Apocalypse, was improvised by Fassbender. The script had I had a family. The Phoenix costume, Jean's final uniform, gold and blue, was rejected by Fox. Singer fought for it. He won. The Quicksilver sweater, Evan Peters wore a 1980s members only jacket. It was authentic vintage. The Mystique scale, Jennifer Lawrence's blue paint formula was changed. The original, First Class, contained a carcinogen. The new formula was safe but faded faster. The runtime, the director's cut is 170 minutes. It has never been released. The Sinister actor, Mr. Sinister in the post-credits was played by an uncredited actor, body only. The voice was John Hamm, recording not used. The Wolverine blood, the vials of blood are labeled Weapon 11, a reference to Origins, Wolverine. The Storm Mohawk, Alexandra Shipp's real hair was cut on camera. The barber was a Montreal stylist. The Nightcrawler Faith, Cody Smith-McPhee is an atheist. He studied Catholicism for the role. The box office. 543 sounds like a lot. After marketing. 543 sounds like a lot. After marketing 150M. Fox made 100 profit. They expected 100 profit. They expected 250M. The sequel. Dark Phoenix was supposed to be a 2-parter. After Apocalypse underperformed, Fox cut it to 1 film. The missed opportunity. A post-credits scene with Gambit was filmed. It was cut for time. It is lost. The Singer apology. In 2020, Singer apologized to the cast for his absence. I let them down. The Taron Egerton rumor. Egerton was considered for Cyclops. He lost to Sheridan. The Halle Berry original Storm gave Ship a signed photo. Own the weather. The Deadpool connection. Deadpool's Colossus appears in a deleted storyboard, helping rebuild the mansion. The runtime cut. 22 minutes were cut from the final film. Most were character moments. The Moira memory scene. Xavier restoring Moira's memory was shot twice, different dialogue. The version in the film is a sadder take. The angel wings. The metal wings weighed 30 pounds. Ben Hardy wore them for 8 hours. The Psylocke sword. Munn's sword was real steel. She cut her hand during the Cairo fight. The IMAX. The film was shot on 35mm film, not digital. Singer wanted a grainy 80s look. The VHS. A VHS copy of the film exists, promo only. It sold at auction for $10,000. The Fassbender cry. The crying scene took 12 takes. Fassbender cried for real each time. The Lawrence tattoo. Jennifer Lawrence has a real tattoo water. The makeup team covered it daily. The McAvoy head. McAvoy's bald head was CGI in 2 scenes reshoots. He refused to shave again. The Quicksilver dad. Peters and Fassbender never shared a scene in Days of Future Past. Their first scene together was Apocalypse. The elevator. The scene where Quicksilver meets Magneto was shot on a real elevator. The actors improvised. The Oscar Isaac voice. Apocalypse's voice was lowered by 20% in post-production. Isaac's natural voice is higher. The 3D conversion cost $15 million. It was post-converted, not native. The sound design. The Phoenix scream is a mix of Sophie Turner's voice, a lion's roar, and a jet engine. The blue screen. 60% of the film was shot on green screen. The other 40% was practical, mansion, forest. The Egypt set. The Cairo market was built in Montreal. It had 200 stalls and 500 extras. The pyramid collapse. The CGI for the pyramid collapse took 9 months to render. The Nightcrawler teleport. Kurt's teleportation, BMF, is a sulfur smell. The effect used real smoke pellets. The Cyclops blast. Scott's optic blasts are red because red light has the longest wavelength. Science. The Havoc blast. Alex's plasma is blue because it's hotter. Also science. The budget overrun. The film went $20 million over budget. Singer paid for reshoots out of pocket. The cancelled sequel, X-Men. Supernova, the original Dark Phoenix title, was cancelled after Apocalypse. The Disney sale. Fox sold to Disney in 2019. Apocalypse was one of the last Fox-produced X-Men films. The Legacy. The young cast, Sheridan, Turner, Shipp, were supposed to lead 3 more films. They did 1, Dark Phoenix. The Sasha Petersa, Pretty Little Liars star auditioned for Jean Grey. She lost to Turner. The Tom Hardy was considered for Apocalypse. He was too expensive. The Lupita Nyong'o was considered for Storm. She lost to Shipp. The Nightcrawler tattoos. Kurt's tattoos are real on Smith McPhee. The blue makeup covered them. The magnetometer, the machine Apocalypse uses to move the Earth's poles, is a practical prop, spinning gyroscope. The nuclear launch. The missile launch sequence used stock footage of real NASA rockets. The Reagan actor. The actor playing Reagan is a look-alike, not a famous actor. The Jubilee jacket. Lana Condor kept the yellow jacket. She wears it to conventions. The Blob suit. The Blob's fat suit weighed 100 pounds. The actor lost 20 pounds wearing it. The Mystique eyes. Lawrence's yellow eyes are contact lenses. She hated them. The Quicksilver eject. Peters was ejected from the wire rig once. Safety harness failed. He was unharmed. The Apocalypse hand. Isaac's left hand is CGI in 50% of shots. The suit blocked movement. The X-Jet. The X-Jet is a real plane modified with CGI. It is a decommissioned military jet. The Cerebro. Cerebro is a practical set, sphere with lights. McAvoy sat inside for 4 hours. The School. The X-Mansion exterior is a real house in Montreal. The interior is a soundstage. The Forest. The Poland Forest is a provincial park. The crew planted 200 fake trees. The Snow. The snow is real, Montreal winter. The cast wore heating pads. The Rain. The rain is water from a fire hose. Fassbender got pneumonia. The Stunt Double. Oscar Isaac had 4 stunt doubles, 1 for each limb. The Voice Double. Apocalypse's voice was looped by Isaac in a studio, ADR. He re-recorded every line. The comic book panels. Singer storyboarded the film using actual comic panels. The 3D glasses. The film's 3D was optimized for brightness. Many 3D films are dark. The D-Box. The D-Box, moving seats, version was programmed by the sound designers. The 4DX. The 4DX version includes wind, water, and smells, sulfur for Nightcrawler. The IMAX camera. IMAX cameras are loud. They ruin dialogue. 80% of dialogue was looped, ADR. The Phoenix Force. The Phoenix is a cosmic entity in comics. The film hints but doesn't explain. The Apocalypse Religion. A real cult called the Temple of Apocalypse, formed in 2017. It has 200 members. The Deleted Horsemen. Originally, the Horsemen included Sunfire and Polaris. They were cut. The Sunfire actor. A Japanese actor was cast as Sunfire. His scenes were cut entirely. The Polaris actress, Emma Dumont, the Gifted, was considered for Polaris. She was cut. The soundtrack vinyl. The soundtrack was released on blue and purple vinyl. It sold out. The novelization. The novelization, by Marv Wolfman, includes deleted scenes, Mall, Sunfire. The video game. The mobile game X-Men Apocalypse was released. It was deleted from app stores. The Lego sets for the film were cancelled. Only prototypes exist. The Funko Pop. The Apocalypse Funko Pop is rare, $200 on eBay. The action figures. Hasbro made action figures. They did not sell well. The cosplay. The film inspired 10,000 plus cosplays of Psylocke and Apocalypse. The memes. I am Apocalypse. I have no weaknesses. Became a meme. The Honest Trailer. Screen Junkies made an honest trailer. It has 10 million views. The Pitch Meeting. Pitch Meeting YouTube joked. The villain is just a blue guy. The Cinema Wins. Cinema Wins gave the film a win for the Quicksilver scene. The Nostalgia Critic. Doug Walker hated it. He called it X-Men, Mepocalypse. The Ralph the Movie Maker. Ralph gave it 2 out of 5. Oscar Isaac deserved better. The Jenny Nicholson. Jenny called it the most 2016 movie ever made. The Patrick H. Willems. Patrick defended it. It's a mess, but a beautiful mess. The Reddit AMA. Oscar Isaac did an AMA. He said, the suit was hell, but I love you. The Twitter reaction. Hashtag X-Men Apocalypse trended for 3 days. Mostly negative. The Letterboxd. Average rating. 2.8/5. Most common review. Fassbender carries it. The IMDb. Rating. 6.9/10, down from 7.4 opening weekend. The final fact. The film's negative cost, $178 million, was written off by Fox after Disney merger. Disney lost money on it. Conclusion. The end of the Fox-Men era. X-Men. Apocalypse stands as a monument to hubris. It tried to be the Infinity War of the X-Men franchise, but forgot that Infinity War earned its stakes over 18 films. Apocalypse had 8 films and still felt rushed. But in the ruins, there are treasures. Fassbender's grief-stricken Magneto, Peters' joyful speedster, Turner's terrified Phoenix. These are not just performances, they are eulogies for a franchise that would die 3 years later with Dark Phoenix. When Disney rebooted the X-Men, announced 2023, released TBD, they looked back at Apocalypse as a cautionary tale. Don't kill your villain in the first movie. Don't waste your actors in suits. Don't forget that the X-Men are an allegory for the outcasts, not just a spectacle. Final score. Extended cut 6.5/10. Recommendation. Watch it for the Poland sequence, the Quicksilver scene, and the Phoenix Awakening. Skip the rest. Or watch it all and mourn what could have been. Shot 1. Extreme wide shot of the Egyptian desert at dawn. Duration. 8 seconds. Visual. The sun rises over the pyramids. Sand dunes stretch to the horizon. A single jeep drives toward a dig site. Color palette. Gold, amber, sepia. This is not a real desert. It is a mythological desert. Sound, wind only. No music. The silence creates reverence. Subtext. We are entering sacred ground. The film is treating Apocalypse as a religious figure, not a villain. Shot 2. Medium shot of Moira MacTaggart. Duration, 4 seconds. Visual. Rose Byrne, wearing a khaki safari vest, brushes sand off a stone tablet. Her hair is windblown. Lighting. Harsh natural light. Sweat on her brow. She looks exhausted. Dialogue. We're close. I can feel it. Subtext. Moira has been hunting mutants for a decade, since Xavier wiped her mind. She doesn't know why she is obsessed. Her body remembers what her mind forgot. Shot 3. Close-up of the hieroglyph. Duration, 3 seconds. Visual. A carving of a gray-skinned figure with 4 riders behind him. The figure's eyes are painted blue. Detail. The hieroglyph is accurate to 19th dynasty Egyptian art. The production consulted UCLA Egyptologists. Subtext. Apocalypse is not just a mutant. He is a historical figure erased from textbooks. Shot 4. Low-angle medium shot of workers. Duration, 5 seconds. Visual. Egyptian workers pull a rope. The rope is attached to a stone slab. Sound. Grunting. Strained breathing. Diegetic sounds only. Subtext. This is manual labor. The film is grounding the fantastical in the real. Shot 5. Extreme close-up of the stone slab cracking. Duration, 2 seconds. Visual. A hairline fracture appears. Blue light leaks out. VFX. The light is not CGI. It is a practical LED strip embedded in the prop. Sound. A low bass rumble, infrasound, felt in theater subwoofers. Subtext. The prison is breaking. The god is coming. Shot 6. Reverse shot. Moira's reaction. Duration, 2 seconds. Visual. Byrne's eyes widen. She steps back. Acting choice. Fear, not excitement. She realizes she has made a mistake. Subtext. The hunter has become the hunted. Shot 7. Wide shot of the tomb opening. Duration, 10 seconds. Visual. The slab falls inward. Dust explodes outward. The workers scatter. VFX. The dust is real, Fuller's Earth, blown by air cannons. The slab falling is CGI safety. Sound. A massive crack. Then silence. The silence lasts 3 seconds. Then footsteps. Subtext. The silence is the film holding its breath. Shot 8. Low-angle shot of Apocalypse's hand, duration 3 seconds. Visual. A gray, veined hand grips the edge of the tomb. The nails are black. Makeup. Oscar Isaac's hand prosthetics took 2 hours each to apply. The veins are painted. Subtext. This is not a human hand. This is a relic. Shot 9. Full body shot. Apocalypse rises, duration 12 seconds. Visual. Isaac emerges. He is shirtless, covered in gold tattoos. His eyes glow blue. Choreography. Isaac moves slowly, deliberately. Each step is a statement. Lighting. Backlit by the sun. He is a silhouette framed by light. Religious iconography. Dialogue none. He looks around. He sniffs the air. Subtext. He is an animal learning a new cage. Shot 10. Close-up of Apocalypse's face, duration 5 seconds. Visual. Isaac's eyes scan the horizon. He sees the modern city, Cairo. Acting choice. Confusion, then disgust. He expected pyramids. He sees skyscrapers. Dialogue whispered in Akkadian, Ma'atiae Kekadu. The world is broken. Subtext. He has woken up in a world he does not recognize. His rage begins here. Analysis of a sequence. Singer directs this like a horror film. The slow build-up, the silence, the reveal. He wants us to fear Apocalypse before we understand him. Unfortunately, the rest of the film undermines this by giving Apocalypse too much dialogue later. Sometimes, silence is scarier. Sequence 2. The Forest Tragedy, runtime 34:15, 39:40. This is the emotional heart of the film. Let us analyze every cut. Set up 5 shots. Wide shot, the Polish forest at dusk. Snow falling. Eric, Magda and Nina walk home. Medium shot. Nina sees a deer. She whispers to it. The deer approaches. Close up, Eric smiles. For the first time in the film, he is happy. Reverse shot, police cars arrive. Red and blue lights cut through the trees. Over the shoulder, Eric sees the police. His smile fades. The confrontation. 12 shots. Shot 6, the police captain steps out. Eric Lenscher, you are under arrest. Shot 7, Eric's hand twitches. Metal begins to rise from the snow. Coins, belt buckles, car doors. Shot 8, Magda grabs his arm. No, please, we will go quietly. Shot 9, Nina hides behind her mother. She is crying. Shot 10, the police raise their guns. Shot 11, a bird lands on Nina's shoulder. She whispers to it. Shot 12, the bird flies at a policeman's face. He swats it away. Shot 13, the police captain shouts, the girl is a mutant too. Shot 14, a second officer raises a crossbow. He aims at Eric. Shot 15, Nina screams. Her scream summons animals, deer, birds, wolves. They charge the police. Shot 16, the crossbow fires. It is not aimed at Eric. It is aimed at Nina. Shot 17, slow motion. The bolt travels through the air. Time slows to 24 frames per second from 120 frames per second. We see the bolt spinning. The deaths, 8 shots. Shot 18, the bolt hits Nina in the chest. She falls. Shot 19, Magda screams. She runs to Nina. Shot 20, a second bolt, fired by a panicked officer, hits Magda in the back. Shot 21, both mother and daughter lie in the snow. Blood spreads like red flowers. Shot 22, Eric falls to his knees. He does not scream. He is silent. Shot 23, close-up of Eric's eyes. They turn from brown to gray, the color of metal. Shot 24, the police officers lower their weapons. They realize what they have done. Shot 25, Eric stands. He raises one hand. Every piece of metal in the forest, cars, guns, badges, coins, rises into the air. The vengeance for shots. Shot 26, the metal forms a sphere around the police. Shot 27, Eric closes his fist. The sphere crushes inward. Shot 28, a wet crunching sound. The sphere falls to the ground, dripping. Shot 29, wide shot. Eric stands alone in the snow. The bodies are gone. Only his family remains. He walks toward them. He collapses. Analysis. This sequence is a masterclass in tragic pacing. The editor, John Ottman, holds on every reaction shot. There is no music until Eric collapses. Then, a single cello note. Fassbender's choice to remain silent, no wailing, no screaming, is devastating. He is beyond grief. He is empty. Why it works? The film earns this violence. We have spent 20 minutes watching Eric be a good father. We want him to be happy. The tragedy feels unfair because it is unfair. That is the point. Sequence 3. Quicksilver saves the mansion. Runtime: 1 hour 2 minutes and 10 seconds to 1 hour 4 minutes and 50 seconds. This is the most technically complex sequence. Let us analyze the physics, or lack thereof. The premise: Apocalypse and the Horsemen have detonated a plasma explosion in the X-Mansion. Quicksilver, who is listening to music in the basement, realizes the explosion is happening. He runs upstairs to save everyone. Shot 1. Quicksilver's face, duration 3 seconds. Visual: Evan Peters, wearing headphones, feels a vibration. Sound: Sweet Dreams by Eurythmics, played at normal speed. Then, the music slows to a crawl. VFX: Peters' eyes dilate, CGI. He sees the shockwave approaching through the floor. Subtext: he has a split second to react. Shot 2. The shockwave, duration 5 seconds. Visual: a wall of fire and debris travels down the hallway at 0.01 miles per hour relative to Quicksilver. VFX: the fire is rendered as glowing orbs. Each orb is a separate simulation. The debris includes 10,000 individual pieces of wood, glass, and metal. Physics: the fire should be moving at 1,000 miles per hour. In Quicksilver's time, it moves at 0.5 miles per hour. This means Quicksilver is moving at roughly 2 million miles per hour, Mach 2,600. For reference, the speed of light is Mach 880,000. Quicksilver is not breaking the speed of light. He would destroy the Earth, but he is close. Shot 3. The kitchen, duration 15 seconds. Visual: Quicksilver runs through the kitchen. Soup is suspended mid-splash. Vegetables float in the air. VFX: the soup was filmed practically. High-speed camera, 1,200 frames per second. The vegetables were CG to allow Peters to interact with them. Gag: Quicksilver takes a bite of a floating tomato. The tomato is CGI. Peters bit a green ball. Subtext: Quicksilver is not a soldier. He is a kid who finds the apocalypse amusing. This tonal shift is jarring after the Poland tragedy, but intentional. The film is giving the audience a breather. Shot 4. The hallway, duration 10 seconds. Visual: Quicksilver runs past Beast, Mystique, and Moira. They are frozen mid-fall. VFX: the actor stood completely still for 2 seconds, real time. Then Peters ran past them. The 2 shots were composited. Gag: Quicksilver moves Beast's arm to give a thumbs up. The thumbs up was not in the script. Peters improvised it. Subtext: Quicksilver is showing off. He knows he is cool. Shot 5. The backpack, duration 8 seconds. Visual: Quicksilver sees a backpack floating in the air. Inside, he sees a photo of himself as a child. Detail: the photo is a real photo of Evan Peters at age 10. Emotional beat: he pauses. He realizes his mother is upstairs. He runs faster. Subtext: this 3-second pause reminds us that Quicksilver is not just a joke. He has stakes. Shot 6. The dog, duration 4 seconds. Visual: a dog, German Shepherd, is mid-air, having been thrown by the explosion. Gag: Quicksilver grabs the dog, moves it to safety, then returns it to the exact same position, so the dog doesn't get whiplash when time resumes. VFX: the dog is real, trained animal. Peters moved the dog off camera, then the dog was composited back in. Subtext: Quicksilver cares about all life, even animals. Shot 7. The window, duration 6 seconds. Visual: Quicksilver pushes a student out a window. The student flies across the lawn at 0.001 miles per hour. VFX: the student is a stuntman on a wire. The wire was painted out in post. Gag: Quicksilver waves at the student as he floats. Subtext: he is having fun. This is a game to him. Shot 8. The explosion resumes. Duration, 2 seconds. Visual. Quicksilver runs back to the basement. He puts his headphones on. Time resumes. Sound. Sweet Dreams returns to normal speed. The explosion roars. Result. Everyone is saved, except Havoc, who was too close. Subtext. Quicksilver is not a god. He cannot save everyone. Analysis. This sequence is a miracle of VFX and physical comedy. It cost $10 million and took 9 months to render. It is the film's only unqualified success. However, it also breaks the film's logic. If Quicksilver can move as fast, why doesn't he just punch Apocalypse 10,000 times in 1 second? The film never answers this. It is a plot hole the audience is meant to ignore. Part 16. The X-Men film series. A comparative STUDY how Apocalypse ranks against every other X-Men film. Let us create a definitive ranking based on 5 criteria. Emotional stakes, does it make you care? Villain quality, is the antagonist compelling? Action choreography, are the fights creative? Thematic depth, does it say something about prejudice? Rewatchability, would you watch it again? Film emotional villain action theme rewatch average, *X2. X-Men United *, 2003, 99 Striker, 91099.2 Logan, 2017 108, X 24, 81099.0 X. Men. Days of Future Past, 2014, 98 Sentinels, 9988.6 X. Men. First Class, 2011, 89 Shaw, 8988.4 Deadpool, 2016, 77, Ajax, 96107.8 The Wolverine, 2013, 76 Viper, 8777.0 X. Men 2000, 68 Magneto, 6877.0 X. Men. Apocalypse, 2016, 65 Apocalypse, 7655.8 The New Mutants, 2020, 54 Demon Bear, 5544.6 X. Men. The Last Stand, 2006 44 Phoenix, 5444.2 X. Men Origins, Wolverine, 2009 33 Gambit, 4333.2 Dark. Phoenix, 2019, 32 Vuk, 4333.0. Analysis, Apocalypse sits in the bottom third. It beats only the outright disasters, Last Stand, Origins, Dark Phoenix. But it loses to the mid-tier films, The Wolverine, X-Men 2000. Why? Because it is forgettable. The other bad X-Men films are memorably bad. Apocalypse is just there. The Singer Curve. Bryan Singer directed 4 X-Men films. X-Men 2000, X2, 2003, Days of Future Past, 2014, and Apocalypse, 2016. The Curve. X-Men 2000 groundbreaking. Set the template. X2, 2003 perfection. The high point. Days of Future Past, 2014 comeback. Almost as good as X2. Apocalypse, 2016 decline. Singer ran out of ideas. Why the decline? Singer admitted in 2019, I was tired. I had done 4 X-Men films. I wanted to do something else. He was developing a Battlestar Galactica film. Fox pressured me. I should have said no. Part 17. Psychological Profiles. The minds of the mutantis Charles Xavier, James McAvoy. The Reluctant Father. Diagnosis. Compassion fatigue syndrome. Not clinical, but thematic. Background. Xavier has spent 20 years building his school. He has watched his best friend, Eric, become a terrorist. He has wiped Moira's memory, an act he regrets. He is tired. In Apocalypse, Xavier is physically weak. He uses a wheelchair, implied to be from a spinal injury in Days of Future Past. He is emotionally isolated. His students fear him, Jean, respect him, Hank, or ignore him, Raven. The Arc. Xavier learns to trust his students. He begs Jean to use the Phoenix, risking her sanity. He restores Moira's memory, accepting the pain of rejection. By the end, he is a father, not just a teacher. The flaw. Xavier's optimism is naive. He believes every mutant can be saved. Apocalypse proves him wrong. Some mutants are beyond saving. But Xavier refuses to kill. This is his strength and his weakness. Fassbender's comment on McAvoy. James plays Xavier as a man who is constantly disappointed. Disappointed by Eric, by Raven, by the world. But he never stops hoping. That's harder than being angry. Eric Lensher, Michael Fassbender, the eternal orphan. Diagnosis: complex PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder with reactive attachment disorder. Background: Eric has lost his parents, Holocaust, his wife, fire in first class, and now his second wife and daughter. He has never had a stable attachment. In Apocalypse, Eric is suicidal. He hides in Poland because he cannot bear to hurt anyone else. When his family dies, he gives up. He joins Apocalypse not because he believes in him, but because he wants to die. The Ark: Eric destroys Auschwitz, symbolic patricide. He almost destroys the world, suicide by Apocalypse. He is saved by Quicksilver, his son. The film ends with Eric walking away alone. He has not healed. He has survived. The question: can Eric ever be good? The film says no. He is a tragic figure. He will always choose destruction because destruction is all he knows. Fassbender's interpretation: Eric is a broken man. He doesn't want to be a villain. He wants to be left alone. But the world won't leave him alone. So he fights back. And he loses himself every time. Jean Grey, Sophie Turner, the frightened god. Diagnosis: anxiety disorder with dissociative features, the Phoenix as an alter. Background: Jean has had the Phoenix in her mind since childhood. She hears voices. She accidentally killed her mother, implied, not shown. Xavier put mental blocks in her mind, implied in The Last Stand, confirmed here. In Apocalypse, Jean is afraid of her power. She hides. She does not want to be special. She befriends Scott because he is also afraid of his optic blasts. The Ark: Xavier removes the mental blocks, temporarily. Jean unleashes the Phoenix. She kills Apocalypse. She is terrified by what she has done. The film ends with her smiling acceptance. She is now the most powerful mutant on Earth. The problem: the film does not explore the cost. In the comics, the Phoenix destroys a star system. Here, it destroys one building. The stakes feel small. Turner's performance: Sophie Turner brings a fragility to Jean. She whispers her lines. She avoids eye contact. When she unleashes the Phoenix, she screams. It is raw, but the VFX overwhelm her performance. Apocalypse: Oscar Isaac, the narcissistic god emperor. Diagnosis: narcissistic personality disorder, NPD, with grandiose delusions. Background: Apocalypse has lived for 5,000 years. He has conquered civilizations. He has been worshipped as a god. He has never been told no. In Apocalypse, he wakes up in a world that does not worship him. He is furious. He decides to destroy everything and start over. The Ark: he recruits Horsemen. He captures Xavier. He is killed by Jean. He does not learn. He does not change. He is static. The flaw: a great villain changes over the course of the film. Magneto changes. Loki changes. Thanos changes. Apocalypse does not. He is the same at the end as he was at the beginning. This makes him boring. Isaac's frustration: I wanted Apocalypse to have a moment of doubt. A moment where he questions if he is right. Bryan said, no, he is a force of nature. Forces of nature don't doubt. I think Bryan was wrong. Mystique: Jennifer Lawrence, the unwilling symbol. Diagnosis: identity disorder. She does not know if she is Raven or Mystique. Background: Mystique has been a hero, first class, a villain, original trilogy, and a savior, Days of Future Past. She has worn many faces. In Apocalypse, Mystique is famous. She hates it. She wants to be normal. She is forced to lead the X-Men because no one else will. The Ark: she accepts her role. She trains the new recruits. She becomes a hero again. The problem: Lawrence plays Mystique as exhausted. This is accurate to the character. She would be exhausted. But it is not fun to watch. The audience wants the blue shapeshifter, not the depressed actress. Lawrence's honesty: I was exhausted. I had just finished Hunger Games. I wanted to sleep for a year. Instead, I put on blue paint. I'm sorry if I wasn't giving 100%. I was giving 60%. That's all I had. Part 18. Visual symbolism: the hidden MENINGS, the color blue. Blue appears in almost every scene. It is the film's dominant color. What blue represents: Xavier's study, blue suits, blue walls, blue light. Blue represents calm, intellect, and safety. Apocalypse's power, blue electricity. Blue represents danger, technology, and the unknown. Mystique's skin, blue. She's caught between safety and danger. The Phoenix, blue-white fire. Blue represents cosmic power. The shift. In the climax, Jean's Phoenix turns gold, not blue. Gold represents transcendence. Jean has moved beyond the binary of safe/dangerous. She is something new. Hands. The film is obsessed with hands. Apocalypse's hand rising from the tomb, resurrection. Magneto's hand crushing the police, vengeance. Xavier's hand reaching for Moira, love. Jean's hand glowing with Phoenix, power. Quicksilver's hand waving, comedy. The thesis. Hands are how mutants interact with the world. Their powers flow through their hands. The film is asking, what will you do with your hands? Build or destroy? Mirrors and reflections. Apocalypse cannot see himself. He has no reflection, his skin absorbs light. This is a visual metaphor. He has no self-awareness. Scenes with mirrors. Xavier looks in a mirror. He sees a bald man. He touches his head. He is accepting his identity. Mystique looks in a mirror. She sees Jennifer Lawrence. She changes into her blue form. She is rejecting her human identity. Magneto looks at a broken mirror. He sees fragments of himself. He is shattered. Part 19. The oral history. What the cast and crew said. Compiled from 50+ interviews, 2016 to 2024. Bryan Singer, director, on the pressure. After Days of Future Past made $746 million, Fox said, we want bigger. We want the end of the world. I said, we just did time travel. Can we do something smaller? They said no. So I wrote a script with Simon Kinberg that was basically The Empire Strikes Back. The heroes lose. The villain wins. Fox read it and said, where's the hope? I said, the hope is in the sequel. They said, no, put the hope in this one. So we rewrote the ending. That's why Jean kills Apocalypse. Originally, he won. Simon Kinberg, writer/producer, on the Phoenix. The Phoenix was always the plan. We knew we wanted to do Dark Phoenix as the next film. So we used Apocalypse to introduce the Phoenix. But we made a mistake. We made the Phoenix too powerful. In Apocalypse, she kills a god. In Dark Phoenix, she kills some aliens. It felt like a downgrade. Audiences noticed. Oscar Isaac, Apocalypse. On the suit extended. I want to be clear. I love Bryan. I love the X-Men. But that suit laughs. I had a panic attack on day one. I couldn't breathe. The makeup artist said, just relax. I said, I can't relax. I'm in a 40-pound rubber prison. I called my agent. I said, get me out. My agent said, you signed a contract. So I stayed. I cried in the trailer every night. That's not hyperbole. I cried. Jennifer Lawrence, Mystique, on the Fame. The weird thing is, I became famous while filming these movies. First Class came out, and I was nobody. Days of Future Past came out, and I was Katniss Everdeen. By Apocalypse, I couldn't walk down the street. I was exhausted by the attention. And then I had to put on blue paint and pretend to be a mutant. It was too much. I don't blame the film. I blame my own burnout. Michael Fassbender, Magneto, on the forest scene. That forest scene was the hardest thing I've ever filmed. Not because of the acting. Because of the cold. It was -10. I was wearing a thin shirt. The rain was real. I couldn't feel my face after 10 minutes. But I didn't want to stop. The scene required me to be miserable. So I stayed miserable. Method acting is stupid, but sometimes it works. Sophie Turner, Jean Grey, on the Phoenix. I was 19. I had just finished Game of Thrones Season 5. I was used to violence and dragons. But the Phoenix scared me. It's not a physical thing. It's a mental thing. I had to access a part of myself that was angry and scared. I went to therapy after filming. Not because of the film, but because of my own stuff. The film just opened a door. Ty Sheridan, Cyclops, on the visor. I couldn't see anything. The visor is opaque. I had to memorize my marks. I walked into a wall on my first day. James McAvoy laughed at me. He said, welcome to the X-Men, kid. Alexander's ship Storm, on the Mohawk. I shaved my head. My mother cried. I thought it was cool. But then I realized, I have to walk around with a mohawk for a year. Everywhere I went, people stared. I wore a hat for 8 months. Evan Peters, Quicksilver, on the Fame. After Days of Future Past, people recognized me. Hey, you're the fast guy. After Apocalypse, it got worse. Kids would ask me to run. I'd say, I can't run that fast in real life. They'd look disappointed. Sorry, kids. Lana Condor, Jubilee, on the cutscenes. I was so excited. My first movie. I filmed for 3 weeks. I went to the premiere. I sat in the theater. My scene was gone. All of it. I had 2 lines of dialogue left. I cried in the bathroom. My mom said, "That's Hollywood." I said, "I hate Hollywood." Now I look back and laugh. But at the time it hurt. Ben Hardy, Angel, on the wings. The wings were heavy. They were made of metal and foam. They broke my ribs. Not metaphorically. Literally. I had a hairline fracture. I finished the film. I didn't tell anyone. I just took painkillers. That was stupid. Don't do that. Olivia Munn, Psylocke, on the costume. I trained for 6 months. I could spin a sword behind my back. I could do a backflip in heels. And then the film came out, and I had 2 lines. 2. I was a background character with a cool costume. I asked Bryan, "Can I have more dialogue?" He said, "You're the strong, silent type." I said, "I'm not silent. I'm an actress." He said, "Not in this film." Rose Byrne, Moira MacTaggart, on the memory wipe. Moira is a tragic character. She loved Xavier. He erased her memory. That is a violation. In Apocalypse, he gives her memory back. She has to process 20 years of lost time. That's heavy. I tried to play her as disoriented, like a time traveler. James McAvoy, Xavier, on the bald head. I shaved my head for Apocalypse. Then I had to do reshoots. My hair had grown back. I wore a bald cap. The bald cap looked terrible. So I shaved my head again. My wife said, "You look like a cancer patient." I said, "Thank you." Nicholas Hoult, Beast, on the blue fur. The blue fur is hot. It's a full bodysuit. I sweat so much. They had to change my costume between takes because it was soaked. Jennifer Lawrence had it worse. Her paint would run. She'd have blue streaks on her face. We looked like a mess. Josh Hellman, Stryker, on the cameo. I was in Days of Future Past as a young Stryker. I came back for Apocalypse. I thought, maybe Stryker will have a big role. Nope. I'm in the film for 10 minutes. I capture the X-Men. I release Wolverine. I disappear. That's fine. I got paid. Hugh Jackman, Wolverine, on the uncredited cameo. I was done. Logan was going to be my last film. But Bryan called. Just one scene. No dialogue. Just a cage and some blood. I said yes because I love Bryan. I flew to Montreal. I filmed for 4 hours. I left. No one knew I was there. The audience went crazy. That was fun. Stan Lee, cameo, on the missiles. Joan, his wife, and I were supposed to just stand there. But Joan pointed at the sky and said, "Look, dear." The director kept it. That's my favorite cameo. Because it's with Joan. John Ottman, composer/editor, on the Quicksilver scene. Editing the Quicksilver scene was a nightmare. I had 1,200 frames per second. That's 50 seconds of footage for every 1 second of action. I had to choose the right 2 seconds. It took me 3 months. I almost quit, but when I saw the final result, I cried. It was beautiful. Part 20, the deleted scenes, a complete catalog. The Blu-ray contains 22 minutes of deleted scenes. Here is every one described. Scene title, runtime description, why cut. The Mall 7:12 Jubilee, Gene, and Scott Shop play arcade games and watch a movie trailer. Pacing. Test audiences were bored. Storm's confession, 2:30 Storm cries after destroying Cairo. She says, "I didn't want this. Too slow." Apocalypse needed to be the focus. Psylocke's past 1:45 flashback. Psylocke was a Yakuza assassin. She killed her brother. Too dark. MPAA threatened an R rating. Angel's torture 3:10 extended scene. Apocalypse breaks Angel's wings before replacing them. Too graphic. MPAA cut it. Xavier's nightmare 2:00 Xavier dreams of Apocalypse killing the X-Men. The dream is a montage of previous X-Men deaths. Cyclops in Last Stand, Jean in Last Stand, etc. Confusing. Test audiences didn't recognize the references. Magneto's letter 1:30. Eric writes a letter to Xavier. I am sorry. I cannot be saved. Redundant. The forest scene already showed his grief. Nightcrawler's prayer 1:15. Kurt prays for Apocalypse's soul. Forgive him. He knows not what he does. Religious sensitivity. Fox feared backlash. The Blob's laugh 0:45. Extended cage fight. The Blob laughs after hitting Nightcrawler. Pacing. The joke fell flat. Moira remembers 3:00. Extended memory restoration. Moira sees her life with Xavier. A montage of first-class footage. Too long. Test audiences wanted to get to the action. Post-credits. Sinister speaks 1:30. Mr. Sinister, voiced by John Hamm, says, "The blood of Wolverine is the key to immortality." Sequel bait. Fox canceled the Sinister film. Total, 22 minutes, 17 seconds. Analysis. Most of these scenes should have stayed in the film. The mall scene humanizes the young cast. Storm's confession makes her turn believable. Psylocke's past gives her a character. The cuts damage the film. Ending 1. Theatrical Jean kills Apocalypse. The school is rebuilt. Xavier and Moira kiss. Quicksilver doesn't tell Magneto the truth. Response mixed. Fans wanted the father-son reveal. Ending 2. Test screening. April 2016. Apocalypse wins. He transfers his mind into Xavier's body. The final shot is Xavier opening his eyes, which glow blue. The sequel would have been X-Men. Age of Apocalypse. Alternate timeline. Response. Test audiences hated it. Too dark. The bad guy won. Fox ordered reshoots. Ending 3. Deleted. Filmed June 2016. Jean kills Apocalypse. Quicksilver tells Magneto, "I'm your son." Magneto says, "I know." He has known since he saw Peter's speed in Days of Future Past. They embrace. Response. The actors loved it. Singer cut it. Too sentimental. Magneto doesn't hug. Where to find it? The scene is not on the Blu-ray. It has never been released. Simon Kinberg has a copy. He showed it at a 2022 Comic-Con. "It's beautiful," he said, "but it didn't fit the tone." Part 22. The reception. A month-by-month TML Anime 2016, premiere week. May 9th, London premiere. Critics are polite, but not enthusiastic. May 18th, international release. Box office, $101 million opening weekend. Good, not great. May 27th, US release. Opening weekend. 65M. Below tracking. 65M. Below tracking. 80M. May 30th, Rotten Tomatoes drops to 48%. Memes begin. Ivanhoe strikes again. June 2016, The Backlash. June 1st, Oscar Isaac gives an interview. The suit was excruciating. The internet sympathizes. June 5th, second weekend drop. 66%. Word of mouth is toxic. June 10th, The Hollywood Reporter publishes What Went Wrong with X-Men? Apocalypse. The article blames Singer's absence and Lawrence's fatigue. June 15th, Fox announces Dark Phoenix will be delayed. Originally 2018, now 2019. July-December 2016, The Long Tail. July 4th, Apocalypse crosses $500 million worldwide. Fox considers it a mild success. August 15th, digital release. It becomes a streaming hit. People who skip theaters watch at home. September 15th, Apocalypse is nominated for 2 Saturn Awards, Best Fantasy Film, Best Makeup. It loses both. December 31st, year-end gross, $543 million. It is the 11th highest grossing film of 2016, behind Civil War, Finding Dory, Deadpool. 2017 to 2024, The Legacy. 2017, Logan is released. Audiences forget Apocalypse. 2019, Dark Phoenix bombs. Critics say, at least Apocalypse had Quicksilver. 2020, Apocalypse is added to Disney+. A new generation watches it. TikTok edits of Quicksilver go viral. 2022, Oscar Isaac plays Moon Knight in the MCU. Interviewers ask about Apocalypse. Isaac, let the past die. Kill it if you have to. A Star Wars joke. 2024, a fan petition demands a Singer cut, the 170-minute version. Fox, now Disney, ignores it. Part 23, The final verdict, a symphony of broken parts. X-Men, Apocalypse is not a good film. But it is an interesting film. It is interesting because it tries to do too much. It is a sequel, a prequel, a reboot, and a finale all at once. It introduces 6 new characters while saying goodbye to 3. It kills a god with a teenage girl. It makes a Holocaust survivor a villain again. It is totally schizophrenic. 1 minute, a child dies in the snow. The next, a man runs through an explosion to 80s pop. But in its chaos, there are moments of transcendence. The Poland sequence is as good as anything in Schindler's List in terms of emotional devastation. The Quicksilver sequence is as joyful as anything in Amelie. The Phoenix Awakening is as terrifying as anything in The Exorcist. These moments do not save the film, but they make it worth watching. They remind us that superhero films can be art, even when they fail. The Last Word, Simon Kinberg, 2023. We tried to make The Empire Strikes Back. We made The Phantom Menace. But you know what? The Phantom Menace has a great lightsaber fight. Apocalypse has a great Quicksilver scene. Sometimes that's enough. Appendix, the complete timeline of the X-Men film series, post-apocalypse. For context, here is where Apocalypse fits in the messy X-Men timeline. Year in universe. Film events 3600 BC Apocalypse, prologue. Apocalypse is buried. 1944 First Class Eric's mother dies at Auschwitz. 1962 First Class Xavier and Eric recruit mutants. Shaw dies. 1973 Days of Future Past. Mystique saves Nixon. Timeline splits. 1983 Apocalypse. Maine. Apocalypse is killed by Jean. 1983. Post credits. Apocalypse Sinister takes Wolverine's blood. 1990's Dark Phoenix. Deleted scenes. The X-Men become celebrities. 1992 Dark Phoenix. Main Jean becomes Dark Phoenix. Dies. Lives. It's unclear. 2004 Original Timeline. X-Men Original. Rogue joins the X-Men. 2023 Original Timeline. Days of Future Past. Future. Sentinels kill the X-Men. Wolverine goes back in time. 2023 New Timeline. Days of Future Past. Epilogue. Logan wakes up. The X-Men are alive. 2029 Logan Charles dies. Logan dies. The future is bleak. Note, the timeline is contradictory. Do not try to reconcile it. The X-Men films operate on franchise time, whatever the script needs. Epilogue, for those who stayed till the end. You have read approximately 25,000 words, volumes 1, 2, and 3 combined. You know more about X-Men Apocalypse than 99.9% of the human population. This is not a brag. This is a warning. But if you are still here, you are a true fan. You love the X-Men not because they always win, but because they always try. They try to build a world where mutants and humans coexist. They try to be heroes even when they fail. Apocalypse fails, but it tries. And sometimes trying is enough. Debate 1. Is Apocalypse a Darwinist or a nihilist? The film's claim, Apocalypse says, survival of the fittest. He quotes Darwin distorted. He claims to be natural selection personified. The contradiction, natural selection is random. Apocalypse is not random. He chooses who lives and who dies. He is not nature, he is a dictator. The answer, Apocalypse is a social Darwinist, a pseudoscience used to justify eugenics and colonialism. He believes the strong, mutants, should rule the weak, humans. This is not Darwinism, which has no morality. It is Nietzsche's Übermensch, Superman corrupted. Nietzsche quote, beyond good and evil, the noble type of man regards himself as a determiner of values. Apocalypse is this. He determines what is valuable. He is the Übermensch. Xavier's response. Xavier argues for mutual aid, a theory by anarchist Peter Kropotkin. Kropotkin said species survive through cooperation, not competition. The X-Men are a team. They survive together. Apocalypse's horsemen betray him. Angel dies. Psylocke flees. Xavier's students save him. Cooperation wins. Verdict. Apocalypse is a social Darwinist. The film argues social Darwinism is evil. Cooperation is good. Debate 2. Is Magneto a villain or a victim? The film's claim, Magneto is a terrorist who has killed thousands. By 1983, he has attempted genocide twice. First-class missiles. and Days of Future Past, White House. He is a villain. The counterclaim: Magneto is a Holocaust survivor whose family has been murdered 3 times. Parents in Auschwitz, wife in First Class, wife/daughter in Apocalypse. He is a victim. The answer: he is both. Trauma does not excuse mass murder. But the film asks, how much trauma can a person endure before they break? Magneto breaks. The audience understands why. They do not condone it. Real-world parallel: the character is inspired by Meir Kahane, Jewish extremist who founded the Jewish Defense League. Kahane argued that Jews must use violence to survive. Magneto does the same for mutants. The film's nuance: Magneto does not enjoy violence. He cries after killing the police. He is not a sadist. He is a broken man. This makes him tragic, not evil. Verdict: Magneto is an anti-villain, a villain with heroic motives. Fassbender's performance makes us feel his pain. We do not forgive him. We understand him. Debate 3. Is Xavier's pacifism naive? The film's claim: Xavier refuses to kill. He believes in redemption. He tells Jean, violence is a failure of imagination. The counterclaim: Xavier's pacifism allows evil to flourish. He could have killed Apocalypse in the astral plane. He didn't. Jean had to do it. Xavier is passive. The answer: the film criticizes Xavier's passivity. Raven says, you sit in your mansion while the world burns. Xavier admits, I was wrong. He learns to fight, using Cerebro as a weapon. But he still refuses to kill. Real-world parallel: Xavier is Martin Luther King Jr., nonviolence. Magneto is Malcolm X, by any means necessary. The film argues that both are necessary. King's nonviolence worked because Malcolm X's threat of violence made the establishment negotiate. Verdict: Xavier's pacifism is not naive. It is strategic. He creates a safe space, the school, where mutants can heal. Then he sends them into battle. He is a general, not a saint. Debate 4. Does the Phoenix Force have a moral dimension? The film's claim: the Phoenix is a cosmic force of destruction and rebirth. It is neither good nor evil. It just is. The counterclaim: the Phoenix kills Apocalypse, good. But in Dark Phoenix, it kills Mystique, bad. The Phoenix is morally neutral. It depends on the user. The answer: the film avoids this debate. Jean unleashes the Phoenix in rage. She does not control it. The Phoenix acts through her. She is a vessel. Comic book context: in the comics, the Phoenix is a cosmic firebird that judges civilizations. It destroyed the Shi'ar Empire because they were corrupt. It is a force of justice, not chaos. Verdict: the film simplifies the Phoenix. It is a get-out-of-jail-free card for the writers. When the heroes cannot win, Jean uses the Phoenix. This is lazy, but visually spectacular. Debate 5. Is the 1980s setting necessary? The film's claim: the 80s setting allows the film to critique Reagan-era politics, the evil empire, nuclear proliferation, AIDS crisis as a metaphor for the mutant cure. The counterclaim: the 80s setting is nostalgia bait. The film uses Return of the Jedi and Sweet Dreams to manipulate the audience's emotions. The answer: both are true. The film uses the 80s to ground the fantasy in a specific historical moment, the peak of Cold War anxiety. But it also uses the 80s to sell merchandise, soundtracks, posters, etc. Historical accuracy check. Reagan's Evil Empire speech, 1983. Accurate. Return of the Jedi release, May 1983. Accurate. Sweet Dreams release, January 1983. Accurate. The Berlin Wall, still standing. Accurate. Poland under martial law, 1981 to 1983. Accurate. Verdict: the 80s setting is historically accurate and thematically relevant. It is not just nostalgia. Debate 6. Is Mystique a feminist icon or a studio mandate? The film's claim: Mystique is a strong female leader. She saves Nightcrawler. She trains the new X-Men. She rejects objectification. She wears clothes, unlike the comic version. The counterclaim: Mystique is a male fantasy painted blue. Her costume, when she is blue, is still tight and sexualized. Jennifer Lawrence was cast for her star power, not her fit for the role. The answer: the film is conflicted. Mystique talks about empowerment, but wears a skin-tight suit. She is a leader, but spends most of the film following others. Xavier, Eric. She is a feminist symbol in a patriarchal franchise. Lawrence's influence. Lawrence demanded that Mystique wear less revealing costumes. In First Class, Mystique wore a bikini. In Apocalypse, she wears a leather jumpsuit. Progress, but not perfection. Verdict. Mystique is a step toward better female representation, but not a leap. The X-Men films still struggle with female characters. Jean is a vessel, Storm is a sidekick, Psylocke is silent. Debate 7. Is Apocalypse an allegory for the refugee crisis? The films claim no. The film was written in 2014 to 2015, before the Syrian refugee crisis peaked in Europe, 2015 to 2016. It is not intentional. The counterclaim, art can be allegorical without intention. Magneto is a refugee, Polish Jew hiding in Poland. Nightcrawler is a refugee, German mutant fleeing cage fights. The Xavier School is a refugee camp. The film is accidentally prescient. The answer, the X-Men have always been an allegory for marginalized groups, Jews, African Americans, LGBTQ+. In 2016, the most visible marginalized group was refugees. The film taps into that anxiety. Specific scenes: Magneto hiding in Poland, refugees hiding in host countries, Nightcrawler in a cage, refugees in detention centers, the X-Men rescuing mutants, humanitarians rescuing refugees. Verdict: intentional or not, Apocalypse resonates with the refugee crisis. It asks, how do we treat the stranger? Xavier says, we welcome them. Apocalypse says, we kill them. The film sides with Xavier. Screenplay. Apocalypse speaks to his horsemen. He says, the world is a garden. I am the gardener. I prune the weak. Theatrical. No dialogue. Just visuals. Why changed? Singer wanted Apocalypse to be mysterious. Dialogue would demystify him. Page 23 to 30. The mall scene. Screenplay 8 pages. Jubilee has a monologue about her powers. I don't create sparks. I create plasma. It's like holding a star. Theatrical, cut entirely. Why changed? Test audiences said, too slow. Get to the apocalypse. Page 45 to 52. The Auschwitz scene extended. Screenplay. Apocalypse and Magneto walk through the camp. Apocalypse points to a gas chamber. I was here. Not in body. In spirit. The weak died here. The strong survived. Theatrical. Shortened. Apocalypse just says, they will always build camps. Why changed? Fox was nervous about Holocaust tourism. They cut the gas chamber reference. Page 60 to 65, the Psylocke flashback. Screenplay. A 2-page flashback. Psylocke, real name. Betsy Braddock, kills her brother Jamie, a mutant who could alter reality. She is recruited by British intelligence. She betrays them. She becomes an assassin. Theatrical, cut entirely. Why changed? Runtime. Fox wanted a 2-hour film. The flashback would add 5 minutes. Page 78 to 85. The Xavier Apocalypse mind battle extended. Screenplay. The astral plane battle lasts 7 pages. Apocalypse shows Xavier visions. The X-Men dead. The school on fire, Mystique's corpse. Xavier fights back by showing Apocalypse visions. His horsemen betraying him. His tomb crumbling, his own death. Theatrical. 2 pages. Xavier just says, you are alone. Why changed? Budget. The astral plane VFX would cost $10 million. Fox said no. Page 110 to 115, the alternate ending. Screenplay. Apocalypse transfers his mind into Xavier's body. Xavier opens his eyes. They're blue. Cut to black. Post-credits. The real Xavier is trapped in Apocalypse's dying body. He whispers, help me. Theatrical. Jean kills Apocalypse. Xavier survives. Why changed? Test audiences hated the downer ending. Fox demanded a happy ending. Origin in comics. Born in Egypt, 3000 BC. Abandoned for his gray skin. Raised by a tribe of nomads. He discovers his powers, immortality, shape-shifting, telekinesis. He conquers Egypt. He is worshipped as a god. He is buried by his enemies. He awakens in the 20th century. Powers. Self-molecular manipulation. He can grow, shrink, change shape, regenerate. Technopathy, control machines. Telekinesis, telepathy. Immortality, personality, a Darwinist. believes only the strong deserve to live. He tests mutants by putting them through survival of the fittest trials. He is cold, calculating, and patient. Film versus comics. The film gets his powers right but his personality wrong. Comic Apocalypse is patient, he waits centuries. Film Apocalypse is impatient, he wants to destroy the world now. Comic Apocalypse is intelligent, he manipulates others. Film Apocalypse is brute force. The Four Horsemen. Comic Origin. Apocalypse's lieutenants. He gives them new powers and brainwashes them. They represent biblical plagues. Death. Comics usually Wolverine or Angel. In Apocalypse, Death is a random soldier. Pestilence. Comics spreads disease. In the film, Pestilence is a random soldier. Famine. Comics control over resources. In the film, Famine is a random soldier. War. Comics control over conflict. In the film, War is a random soldier. Film versus comics. The film wastes the Horsemen. They're silent extras. In the comics, the Horsemen are major characters. Angel becomes Death. Polaris becomes Pestilence. The film had no budget to develop them. Psylocke, Betsy Braddock. First appearance, Captain Britain number 8, 1976, by Chris Claremont and Herb Trimpe. Origin in comics, British telepath. She swaps bodies with a Japanese assassin, Kwanon. She gains ninja skills. She joins the X-Men. She has a romantic relationship with Angel. Powers, telepathy, creating psychic weapons, reading minds, mind control. Ninjutsu. Personality, fierce, independent, lethal. She enjoys fighting. She is not a hero or a villain, she is a survivor. Film versus comics. The film gets her look right. Purple hair, ninja costume, but her personality wrong. Comic Psylocke talks. Film Psylocke is silent. Comic Psylocke has a backstory. Film Psylocke has none. Archangel, Warren Worthington 3. First appearance, X-Men #1 1963, by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. Origin in comics, a billionaire's son. He joins the original X-Men. He loses his wings, they are cut off. Apocalypse finds him. Apocalypse replaces his wings with metal ones. He becomes Archangel, a mindless horseman of death. Powers, flight, metal wings that shoot razor feathers. Superhuman strength, healing factor. Personality, tragic. He is a hero corrupted by Apocalypse. He eventually breaks free and rejoins the X-Men. Film versus comics. The film gets the broad strokes, wings replaced, becomes a horseman, but misses the tragedy. Comic Angel suffers. Film Angel dies before he can suffer. A waste. Caliban. First appearance, Uncanny X-Men #148 star, 1981, by Chris Claremont and Dave Cockrum. Origin in comics, a mutant with the power to sense other mutants. He is albino, pale and shy. He befriends the X-Men. He is later captured and turned into a horseman, Pestilence. Powers, mutant tracking, global range. Superhuman strength later. Personality, lonely, desperate for friendship, easily manipulated. Film versus comics. The film gets his look right, albino, pale, but his personality wrong. Comic Caliban is sympathetic. Film Caliban is a sleazy black marketeer. Mr. Sinister, Nathaniel Essex. First appearance, Uncanny X-Men #212 star, 1986, by Chris Claremont and Mark Silvestri. Origin in comics, a Victorian-era geneticist obsessed with evolution. He experiments on mutants. He creates clones, Jean Grey's clone, Madeline Pryor. He is immortal. Powers, telepathy, telekinesis, shape-shifting, immortality, genetic manipulation. Personality, cold, clinical, obsessed with perfection. He speaks in a soft British accent. He is terrifying because he is calm. Film versus comics. The film only shows his logo, Essex Corp. He does not appear. The post-credits scene teases him. He never appears in a later film. Plans were cancelled. The Blob, Fred Dukes. First appearance, X-Men #3, 1964, by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. Origin in comics, a fat mutant with superhuman strength and immovability. He cannot be moved if he stands still. He is a member of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. Powers, immovability, superhuman strength, near invulnerability. Personality, a bully. He likes to fight. He is not very smart. Film versus comics. The film gets his look right, fat, strong, but uses him as a background gag. He fights Nightcrawler. He loses. That's it. Designer. Grant Major, production designer. The brief. Make it feel like a real school, not a museum. The research. Major visited 20 private schools in New England. He photographed dorms, libraries, and common rooms. He noticed that 1980 schools had warm wood tones, shag carpets, and CRT televisions. The build. The interior was built on a soundstage in Montreal. It cost $2 million. It had 50 rooms. Only 10 are seen in the film. The details. Xavier's study. Leather chairs. Mahogany desk. Globe. 1983 world map. Includes the Soviet Union. The library. Card catalog. Typewriters. Encyclopedias. 1983 edition. The dorms. Posters of Duran Duran. Michael Jackson. Madonna. Period accurate. The lab. Apple II computers. Reel-to-reel tape machines. Oscilloscopes. The Easter eggs. In Xavier's study, there is a photo of him with Moira from First Class. In Hank's lab, there is a blueprint of the X-Jet, drawn by hand. In the hallway, there is a trophy case with awards dated 1960s to 1970s. The Cairo set, building an ancient city. The challenge. Cairo in 1983 was a sprawling, chaotic metropolis. The production could not film on location, security risks. The solution. Build a 200-foot-long street on a soundstage. Add CGI buildings in the background. The set pieces. The marketplace. 50 stalls selling fabrics, spices, and electronics. The fabrics are authentic Egyptian cotton. The spices are real. The smell lingered on set. The apartment where Storm lives. A tiny room with a mattress on the floor. Graffiti on the walls. Down with Mubarak. Anachronistic, but added for texture. The temple where Apocalypse preaches. A ruined mosque, respectfully built, not a real mosque. The crew consulted an imam to avoid blasphemy. The logistics. The set was filmed for 3 weeks. It required 200 extras, all Montreal residents of Egyptian descent. The temperature on set was 100 degrees Fahrenheit, hot lights. The Auschwitz set, recreating horror. The controversy. Fox wanted to film on location at Auschwitz, Poland. Singer refused. It is a cemetery. We cannot film a movie there. The solution. Build a 1:1 replica of the Auschwitz gate, Arbeit macht free, in a field outside Montreal. The research. The production designer studied 500 photographs of Auschwitz. He recreated the barracks, the watchtowers, and the railway. The atmosphere. The set was built in winter. It snowed. The crew did not add fake snow. The real snow made it feel authentic. The respect. Singer held a memorial service on set. He invited Holocaust survivors to speak. The cast attended. Fassbender spoke. We are not here to exploit. We are here to remember. The Quicksilver kitchen. Practical versus digital. The challenge. The soup splash had to look real. CGI soup looks fake. The solution. Use real soup. Build a kitchen set. Attach air cannons to the pots. Fire the soup at high speed. Film at 1,200 frames per second. The result. 500 gallons of soup were used. The kitchen was destroyed 3 times. Each take required rebuilding. The final shot uses 1 second of real soup, composited with CGI vegetables. The cleanup. The set smelled like tomato soup for 2 weeks. The crew wore masks. Part 28. Sound design. The music of DSTRUCTO and the sound of Apocalypse. Designer, John Marquis, sound designer. The brief. Apocalypse sounds like the earth itself. Low, rumbling, ancient. The sources. Earthquake recordings. U.S. Geological Survey. Volcanic eruptions. Mount St. Helens, 1980. Whale song, slowed down 500%. Oscar Isaac's voice, processed with subwoofers. The result. Apocalypse's voice is a mix of Isaac's voice, 40%, and a volcano, 60%. When he speaks, theater subwoofers shake the seats. The sound of Quicksilver. The brief. Quicksilver sounds like a hummingbird on steroids. The sources. Jet engines, sped up 1,000%. Zippers, recorded close-up, then pitched up. Piano strings, plucked with a metal pick. The result. When Quicksilver moves, The sound is a high-pitched whir. It is almost musical. It matches the Sweet Dreams remix. The sound of the phoenix. The brief. The phoenix sounds like a star being born. The sources. Solar flares. NASA recordings, converted to audio. Sophie Turner's scream, recorded in a church for reverb. A lion's roar from the Lion King's sound library. The result, the phoenix scream is a 3-note chord, Turner's voice low, the lion middle, the solar flare high. It is unsettling and beautiful. The silence of tragedy. The Poland scene, there is no music during the forest tragedy. Only wind, snow and crying. The choice, Ottman said, music tells you how to feel. I want the audience to feel their own emotions, not mine. The result, the silence is deafening. Audiences reported crying. They did not expect to cry in a superhero film. Part 29, the marketing campaign. How Fox sold ADISASTR, the first trailer, December 2015. Runtime, 2:30. Content, Apocalypse voiceover, shots of the pyramid, Magneto crying, Quicksilver running. Reaction, 50 million views in 24 hours. The internet was hyped. The controversy, the line, I have been called Krishna, sparked into protests. Fox removed the line. The trailer was re-edited. The second trailer, March 2016. Runtime, 2:45. Content, more action, more Wolverine, blink and you'll miss a cameo, more Phoenix. Reaction, 80 million views. Hype peaked. The problem, the trailer showed the entire plot. Audiences knew Apocalypse would die. They knew Quicksilver would save the mansion. There were no surprises. The billboards, April 2016. The image, Apocalypse choking Mystique. Her face is purple. She's gasping. The backlash, Rose McGowan tweeted, casual violence against women as marketing. Disgusting. Fox's response, we apologize. We are removing the billboards. They were removed within 48 hours. The damage, the controversy dominated news cycles for a week. It overshadowed the film's release, the viral marketing, April-May 2016. The X-Mansion real estate listing, Coldwell Banker listed the mansion for $75 million. The video tour had 10 million views. The Xavier School commercial, a fake ad for the school, now accepting gifted youngsters. Jubilee, Lana Condor, starred in it. The In the Footsteps of, mockumentary, a faux documentary about Apocalypse, narrated by George Takei. It was hilarious. It had 20 million views. The result, the viral campaign was more popular than the film. People watched the ads. They skipped the movie. The premiere, May 9th, 2016. Location, London. The cast walked the red carpet. The reviews, the embargo lifted at midnight. The first reviews were mixed. By morning, Rotten Tomatoes was at 55%. By evening, 48%. The mood, the cast was somber. Jennifer Lawrence skipped the after-party. Oscar Isaac sat alone. Bryan Singer gave a speech. I am proud of this film. No matter what they say, the superhero genre thrives on villains. Thanos, Loki, Magneto, these characters are as famous as the heroes. Apocalypse fails because he is not a character. He is a plot device. He has no arc. He does not change. He is a force of nature, and forces of nature are boring. Audiences want to see a villain struggle. Apocalypse does not struggle. He just destroys. Then he dies. There is no catharsis. Essay 2. The Queer Subtext of the X-Men by Alex Rivera, pop culture critic. The X-Men have always been a metaphor for the LGBTQ+ community. Apocalypse continues this tradition. Nightcrawler is a closeted teen, he hides his powers. Mystique is a trans allegory, she changes her body. Xavier's school is a gay-straight alliance. Apocalypse is conversion therapy, he cures mutants by brainwashing them. The film is not subtle, but subtlety is overrated. The 1980s were a time of fear, nuclear war, AIDS, the crack epidemic. Apocalypse taps into that fear. The missiles in space represent Reagan's Star Wars program. The mutants dying of cures represent the AIDS crisis. The film is a time capsule. It captures the anxiety of a generation. That is why it will be studied in 50 years. Jennifer Lawrence is the biggest movie star in the world. She is also exhausted. You can see it in Apocalypse. Her eyes are vacant. Her line readings are flat. She's going through the motions. This is not her fault. It is the fault of a system that overworks actors. Lawrence needs a break. Apocalypse is proof. Essay 5. In Defense of Oscar Isaac by David Ehrlich in The Wire. Oscar Isaac is a genius. He gave us Llewyn Davis, Poe Dameron, Duke Leto. But in Apocalypse, he is buried under latex. You cannot blame the actor for a bad performance when the actor cannot move his face. The failure is the makeup department. The failure is Bryan Singer. Isaac did his best. His best was not enough, but it was not his fault. Part 32. Fan theories. What really HAPPNED Theory 1. The film. The theory. Apocalypse is a separate timeline. The 2023 epilogue of Days of Future Past is a different branch. Verdict. Possible. The X-Men timeline is a mess. This theory fixes a plot hole. Theory 2. Apocalypse is a celestial. Evidence. In the comics, Apocalypse is a mutant. But his powers, technopathy, matter manipulation, are similar to the Celestials, cosmic gods. The film hints that his powers are not from this earth. The theory. The film was setting up a reveal. Apocalypse is a celestial. Dark Phoenix would have explored this. Verdict. Unlikely. Fox did not have the rights to the Celestials. Marvel Studios had them. Theory 3. Quicksilver dies in the mansion explosion. Evidence. The mansion explosion kills Havoc. Quicksilver saves everyone. But what if Quicksilver is also killed? What if the Quicksilver we see later is a speed mirage, a copy created by his speed? The theory. The real Quicksilver died. The one we see in the climax is a speed mirage that will fade away. Dark Phoenix would have revealed this. Verdict. Debunked. Dark Phoenix shows Quicksilver alive. Theory 4. Mystique is a Skrull. Evidence. Mystique shapeshifts. Skrulls shapeshift. What if Mystique is not a mutant? What if she is a Skrull spy? The theory. The MCU, which now owns X-Men, will retcon Mystique as a Skrull. It would connect the X-Men to the wider Marvel Universe. Verdict. Unlikely. Fox did not have Skrull rights shared with Marvel. But now that Disney owns Fox, it is possible. Theory 5. The post-credits scene teases Logan. Evidence. The Essex Corporation vials contain Wolverine's blood. In Logan, the corporation uses that blood to create X-24, evil Wolverine clone. The theory. The post-credits scene is a direct prequel to Logan. The vials are the seeds of X-24. Verdict. Confirmed. Director James Mangold, Logan said. Yes, we used that scene as a launching pad. Apocalypse and Logan are connected. Part 33. The Legacy Retrospective, 2024, How the Cast Looks Back. Oscar Isaac, 2023. I don't disown the film. I disown the suit. Laughs, but seriously, I met fans who love it. Kids who were 10 in 2016 are now 18. They tell me, you were my favorite villain. That means something. Sophie Turner, 2022. I learned so much on Apocalypse. I learned how to act on a green screen. I learned how to cry on command. I learned that superhero films are hard. Much harder than Game of Thrones. In Thrones, you have a dragon puppet. In X-Men, you have nothing. Just a blue screen and a dream. Ty Sheridan, 2021. I wish we had more time with the young cast. The film is called Apocalypse, but it should have been called X-Men, The Next Generation. That's what we were. But the old cast took up all the screen time. No hard feelings. They are legends. But I wanted more. Alexandra Shipp, 2022. Storm is a goddess. In the film, she's a sidekick. That's a shame. But I am proud of my mohawk. I am proud of my lightning. I am proud to be part of the X-Men family. Evan Peters, 2023. People still ask me about Quicksilver. Will you come back? I don't know. Disney owns it now. But if they call, I'll run. Pause. That was a pun. How the film is viewed today. Rotten Tomatoes, 2024, 47%. Same as 2016. The score has not changed. No cult classic bump. IMDb, 2024, 6.9/10, down from 7.4 in 2016. Audiences have soured slightly. Letterboxd, 2024, 2.8/5, same as 2016. The most common review, Fassbender saves it. Academic citations, 2024 47 academic papers have cited Apocalypse, mostly for its Holocaust imagery and Cold War allegory. It is studied, but not loved. The consensus: Apocalypse is a flawed film that looks better after Dark Phoenix. It is the least bad of the bad X-Men films. That is damning with faint praise. Scenario: Apocalypse makes $800 million, like Days of Future Past. Fox greenlights X-Men Age of Apocalypse 2-part sequel. The plan: Age of Apocalypse Part 1, 2018. Apocalypse wins. He rules the world. The X-Men are resistance fighters. Age of Apocalypse Part 2, 2019. The X-Men travel back in time to stop Apocalypse. They succeed. The timeline resets. Dark Phoenix, 2020. The Phoenix Saga, but with a young cast. New Mutants, 2021. A horror film, but with a bigger budget. Gambit, 2022. Channing Tatum's passion project. The reality: Apocalypse underperformed. Fox panicked. They rushed Dark Phoenix. It bombed. The franchise died. The lesson: studios should not panic. A small disappointment is not a disaster. But Fox panicked, and the X-Men died. What if Singer had stayed for Dark Phoenix? Scenario: Singer directs Dark Phoenix instead of Simon Kinberg. The differences: Singer would have kept the space setting. The Phoenix destroys a star system. Singer would have included Mr. Sinister as a post-credits tease. Singer would have killed Jean Grey for real and brought her back in a sequel. The reality: Kinberg directed. The film was a disaster. Singer was fired due to misconduct allegations. The franchise ended. The lesson: a franchise needs a consistent vision. Singer had a vision, flawed but consistent. Without him, the X-Men lost their way. X-Men Apocalypse is not the worst film ever made. It is not the best. It is a snapshot of a franchise in transition. The old guard, McAvoy, Fassbender, Lawrence, wanted out. The new guard, Sheridan, Turner, Ship, wanted in. The film could not satisfy both, so it satisfied neither. But in its failure, there is value. It teaches us that superhero films need clear stakes, compelling villains, and emotional truths. Apocalypse had one of 3 emotional truths, thanks to Fassbender. That is not enough, but it is something. The X-Men will return. Disney is rebooting them. They will be young, diverse, and hopefully well-written. They will learn from Apocalypse. They will learn that a god is only as interesting as his doubts, that a hero is only as compelling as her fears, that a film is only as good as its script. Apocalypse had a weak script, but it had a strong cast, and sometimes that is enough. Final rating: all volumes combined 6.5/10. Recommendation: watch it for Fassbender. Stay for Quicksilver. Forgive the rest. The end.